happy this morning to have with us Mr. Ambassador Robert Jordan, the ambassador to Saudi Arabia. Ambassador Jordan comes to us from the great state of Texas, and I was noticing as...
You don't even know who I am.
Last time on
Revisiting Eye of the World.
Why should you join the Nerdporeal Continuum? Well, for one, I have to say, as soon as I hit that join button, I felt like more of a man. I felt better inside. I felt like I had done something good and pure and right. And it's like I unlocked this whole new world of knowledge just from becoming a member to Nerdporeal Stream. I think it's the best thing I've ever done in my whole life, including my children. Right? Come here. Why should you join the compendium? Because Nerdporeal Continuum. Because it made me a better guy, didn't it? I'm a more caring father now.
No, I won't do that. So I made a promise, and I'm eating these words because I was hoping everybody else would forget. So
cheers. Pips never forgets.
No, Pips never. No, he doesn't forget.
No. Pay attention to all of the things people have been saying about this false dragon bleeded, because there's a lot of information there. Like, what is this guy doing? Where is he going? What has he done with his armies? Who's going to capture him?
That guy's barely an important character.
Yeah, so I think Rand's playing the flute and Matt's doing all the juggling.
We're about to fully derail your stream here. Nate,
Right.
you gotta tell us. You gotta tell us. Inquiring minds want to know now that we've seen it
What
poured
are you
out.
drinking, Nathan? What are you drinking?
So this is what I was talking about earlier. This is a cranberry juice with a screwball, and this is my backup in case this chokes the shit out of me.
That's good. That's a good plan. I like that.
That kind of...
Oh God.
and now the continuation.
Oh, welcome to that. That was a nice long opening. Hope you enjoyed it. Well, here, welcome once again to another chapter of another episode of Revisiting Eye of the World. And just want to say hello to whoever's in the chat. And it looks like we got one person in the chat that's not part of the panel. What's up, Daniel? How you doing? So without further ado, I want to introduce my special guest star right now, and he's right here. Let us welcome Mr. Alex Green of the White Cloaks. How you doing?
Doing very well, sir. Daniel, as always, thanks for coming out.
So, Alex, I'd like to hear, before we bring the other panelists in, just curious about your history with the Wheel of Time, like what it means to you and like why you're a White Cloak.
So I read the first... I was young when I read it, so I'm going to say I read the first 7 books when I was younger. I'm going to say when I was like 10 or something. And then my freshman year of college, I got into it again. A friend got me into it, and I finally finished the series. And I really loved the series at the time, and I love it now, and it's just sort of a phenomenal series with a ton of not only is it a great story, but it's also has a ton of great messaging in it. So my White Cloaks careers kind of began when I sort of witnessed the atrocity that was the Ragnor television show, and I had to express my concern about it. And man, I didn't even know what a White Cloak was at the time. I just said, man, this show is trash, and I got banned from like 4 Reddits for that opinion. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm going over here then.
Just for saying that the show is not good.
Yep.
That you wouldn't give the show a chance. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep,
that sounds about right. I think it's like that in every community, quote unquote community now. So, but yeah, thanks for sharing that. Thanks for sharing that. It stinks. It really stinks, man. But we have another man here. He's not just any man. He's a man of Netherun. What's up, Nathan? How you doing this week?
It's going.
How was your Thanksgiving? How was your Thanksgiving?
Did I freeze? Did I freeze there?
No, you're fine. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can. So how's it going?
Good. How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was awesome. I had a couple different of them, and had to, outside of yesterday suffering through Ohio State getting shellacked, had a good time with the family. So it was good times were had.
All right. Yeah, I ended up getting some heartburn from the turkey and everything. So I had to walk that shit off on Thursday. So yeah, that's just life, as they say. C'est la vie. So, yeah. But yeah.
Well done on that opening though. That was
it was all you.
That was, I didn't want to relive that gross stuff, but man, much better stuff this time.
Looks like it's an all hat stream. Well, you don't have to worry about it because this next gentleman does not need to wear a hat. Got Pips here. What's up, Pips?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I rock the shades to protect myself from the sun, so no hat required.
I always thought you wore the shades to protect other people.
That's true. It's anyone who has gone over to OBG70's D&D stream with kind of a group of us. Lady Balefire's character, such low charisma, she has to wear a helmet because if she took her helmet off, the ugliness would just kill everyone. Similar with the sunglasses, or depending on which narrative you like better, I could be secretly a member of the X-Men. That's also possible.
X-Men. I never heard of the X-Men. Sounds fake.
You even do have that Scott Summers look. Like you got the good flow. You're usually pretty clean shape.
Appreciate that.
You give off some good Scott Summers energy.
Well, hey, somebody has to be the counter to Amanda Manetherin's just robust, intimidating beard. To be completely honest, the rest of us have to keep it a little trimmed down because if you tried on a stream with Nate, you'd be booed off the stage. They'd just be like, "No, get out of here."
So, you guys ready to talk some more Eye of the World?
Always.
Always, right. Yeah.
So yeah, we're good today. We're going to cover chapters. So basically from chapters 31 to 43. So that's where. So where did we leave off? So previously, let's just say where we're at in the story. So Rand and Matt are alone now, as Tom fought a fade to distract it so they could get away from Whitebridge. Now they're on their own as a result. The other story, Perrin, and the other point of view, Perrin. Him and Egwene are captured by the White Cloaks near a statue of Arthur Hawkwing, and they're captured because Perrin kills a White Cloak in retaliation for them killing one of the wolves, Hopper, the one that hates humans. And then, of course, we get the third point of view, Nynaeve, and we find out that they see Nynaeve, Moraine, and Lan see the aftermath of what happened in Whitebridge as the Aes Sedai has a means of tracking the boys with the coin and everything. So we see that the city is ravaged. There's burnt buildings. So this is something I have a question about. Maybe this is, and I don't know if this is a wait, read and find out question, but this is a question I have. The burned buildings. Now, all I know from that previous chapter was that he tackles a murderer. Tom tackles a murderer and they flee, and there's like a bit of a panic. So I'm curious if there was an attack on the city by the Trollocs and the murderer, and they burnt shit down. Is that a
So I don't think that's a read and find out. I think that's it's a classic misdirection. Like they set the fire over on the other side of town so that all the town people would run over to the fire so that the murderer could sneak in kind of undetected to get to the boys. At least that was how I read it.
Okay, that could make sense.
That's interesting. I don't know, Nate. Do you have an interpretation? I have a different interpretation on that than Alex said. I'm curious what you think before I give mine.
To be honest, I didn't really think about it all that much. I thought that Maureen maybe dealt with it when they walked in, but now that I'm thinking about that, I don't think she mentioned anything about that at all. But it makes sense that it's a distraction. But it also just makes sense that it's just to create general chaos wherever it happened to be.
So my interpretation has always been that the two events are separate. That the town burning happens after the fade and the events that you saw there. So basically, the fade, as you've encountered so far, fades are able to travel to some extent, right? So in the sort of break between light and shadow, they're able to kind of fade in and out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So my interpretation has always been that the fade just sort of appeared in the town in one of those kind of shadowed areas right prior to the events that you just described, which explains kind of why it was so sudden, which explains everyone's reaction, because this fade basically just popped out of nowhere and everybody started, running and freaking out. And then I think the burning actually happened later. So when the boys show up in the town, it's already very on edge. There's been a lot of like weird stuff. There's like suspicions, there's fear. And then after the events of everybody fleeing, the fade, all that other stuff, plus those other tensions, I think that this is probably something that we see in other areas where like townsfolk kind of turn on each other. They burn down the establishment of a place that they, hey, that person's a dark friend, like that sort of stuff. So when Moraine shows up, she's come to the town that has had a little bit of a purge go on between disgruntled members of the community who took advantage of the high tension and the events from the previous days to kind of maybe exact some revenge on previous slights, or just the general fear, chaos, suspicion. So that's my take on it, based on the fact that the burning and like the kind of tension and fear within cities and towns is something that we see through a lot of places that we see throughout the world going forward in the series.
So paranoia based on what happened, and
yes.
So they're two, like you said, they're two separate events that okay.
Yeah, right. And the only reason I base that on is that I like that would be a compelling narrative, and I would totally buy that. It is possible, and I can't rule out the way that Alex kind of described it. I just don't think that we see evidence of fires being set when the boys are fleeing. Like there's no comment about smoke or anything like that. And so while I can't argue that the fires weren't there and we just didn't see it, it happened, off camera, so to speak. My takeaway is always that like if something was there, we would have been shown it. So that's why I separate the two.
Well,
Gotcha.
there is
my understanding was always that it was sort of based on the events of Winter Night, that Moraine lays out, the Trollocs set the fire sort of in the general vicinity, and then sort of the strike teams go to the the specific boys' houses that are the targets. That I guess I've always assumed the general tactic of fire as a distraction, and then insertion teams go where they're supposed to be. That's all I'm basing it on. So Pips, you're 100% right. There is nothing literature based to justify my stance here.
And I would say if we saw any Trollocs in Whitebridge during that, then I would be like, I completely agree that that's probably what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's a single fade, I've always looked at that we've had evidence that the fade has been going in and out of the village solo and looking for them. And so I think that it's Taverin sort of pulling on the pattern, right, that basically makes it so that a fade happens to pop into town to do some hunting around and spots them, and that's what the events are then triggered off of. Because otherwise, like, there's really no way that the fade should have known that they were there the day that they showed up. So the timing for like a full-on kind of set fires and attack doesn't make sense to me. But again, this is all
based on how far I've read.
Run this back for me. And sorry, Nathan, I apologize. Is this the village in which there was just a surprise meeting between our main cast and the one guy?
This is supposed to. We're talking about Whitebridge, right?
Yeah, Whitebridge.
Correct. Did Rand bump into and have the conversation with not Mashadar?
No. That was
in a different village.
That was in Barrelon.
That's Barrelon. Okay. Sorry, Nathan. I'm trying to keep this spoiler free for you.
No, you're good. Good. I have in my notes that also one person's tale differs from the next. So when Maureen gets in there and she's talking to different people, or Lan is, everyone has a different thing. And considering that the Murdral was going from one place to the next, looking, putting out feelers for this, it kind of makes sense with a lot of what you were saying, Pips, that there was a lot of confusion just inbred into the situation to start the whole thing.
Yeah, I really like that aspect of the chapter where they're talking, or where you're hearing different rumors. That's the one thing. That's one of the few things. That was one of the many things I liked about Song of Ice and Fire. They had that same type of storytelling right there. You go into a town and you hear all this, fake, false information. All these rumors of things happening that didn't happen because we saw what happened usually. So, okay, well that pretty much answers my question. So that's kind of where we left. So we got through the previously on. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes, everything. But before I do that, I gotta pour my bullet bourbon. Drink it and
cheers. Unfortunately, I can't be joining you guys today, but Slanjava, enjoy. But I have early morning work, stuff like that for myself. I did want to bring up Daniel in the chat brought up that it's never really made clear how Murdrals can shadow walk, and yes, so I mean that is definitely true, that it's established as a mystery, certainly within the Eye of the World. So
he's back to how he leaves things unspoken to increase the dread.
Mm-hmm.
To answer Daniel's statement right here, Rand has a conversation with a low-level dark friend in Whitebridge. It's not in Whitebridge. It's in another village.
It's in Barrelon.
Yeah, Four Kings, I think.
So, good point. I think I agreed with it. The conversation that he has is later on the road. I guess in my mind, I was thinking of his conversation with the innkeeper, and when he hears Fell, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Gel? Sorry, Florin Gelp. When he has overhears that conversation was what I was thinking of. But I guess we don't actually know that. We don't know if he's a dark friend or not, and there's no reason to think that he is. He's just a lazy guy. But yes, Piter is the name of the dark friend.
I thought it was Peter. I just I thought it was just Peter.
And Gadfly, that may or may not be true. Read and find out for a certain Nerdporeal who has not read the books. So we're trying to keep the spoiler level at just up to the Eye of the World, essentially, because he has read the full book before. It's been years, and now we're going back through and kind of rereading it with him. So spoilers beyond the end of the Eye of the World, we're trying to limit. That is true, though. Yes, everybody shows up in later books.
Yeah.
Good point.
I've,
Everyone you meet all comes back later.
I have accidentally I used the wiki to help refresh stuff, and I was looking up a particular character that was mentioned, and I learned their fate. I was like, shit. I'm trying to forget. I'm trying to go. I'm trying to forget. So it's easy for me to forget.
Well, random tangent. That's why the mystery of the Who's the Dragon in the TV show was never going to work, because you literally can't Google, the Wheel of Time without seeing, I think, the thumbnail for your Eye of the World streams and other ones. Like, hey, look, it's a ginger dude who's got, the title The Dragon Reborn, like behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like, if you can't Google the name of the show without your mystery box being spoiled, it's a stupid idea.
I learned some things that might not be in the show based on research. Like, I'm assuming most of Chapter 32 does not happen in the show.
Chapter 32 is Matt and Rand on the road.
That's where they go to the Cartman, the dancing Cartman, and everything.
Yeah, completely not in the show.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know what's in specifically Chapter 32 specifically, but I am reasonably certain that it was not in the show. Just going to take a wild ass guess.
As a general rule, if you were to open the Eye of the World and put your finger on a thing, there's about a 99.9% chance it wasn't in the show.
Yeah. It vaguely happens just in the event of a door being broken down open to escape. But that is supposed to replace an entire corner of a building being destroyed.
Wow, that's it.
Okay,
I'll be honest. That was a great.
It's excellent stuff.
All right, let's get this one going. So, all right, so where we started, Rand and Matt are alone on the Camelin Road. And of course, there's a lot of paranoia. Obviously, I mean, they just got away from a fade, and they're alone now. Like, there's no like adult with them. Like, they're like you have people like Tom Maryland, you have Lan, you have I'll even say Moraine and Elias. Like, those are, like, to me, so far the four main adult, the mentor type of roles there. Now these two are just alone by themselves, and so we get to feel this, this constant fear that they're having. They're afraid of everybody. Anybody could be a dark friend, or in my case, a Nerdporeal friend. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it means something bad. So
can't be good.
But it was. Then of course they go from farm to farm. Hey, we'll work for some money and everything. And then I just couldn't help but there was a case where they meet this one family, the Grinwells, and they meet the Grinwells, and then of course Rand is the elder daughter. What's her name? Elsie. Else is just eyeing him and he's just like, oh shit, what do I do? What would Perrin do? What would Perrin do in this situation? Perrin's good with the girls, right? And when I read that and like how afraid he was they was gonna get kicked out, I couldn't help it. Have you seen Seinfeld? Remember when Newman goes to that one random farm and he has sex with the daughter, and then he gets kicked out by Ron Howard's father, I think, plays the farmer or something like that. Remember that?
Nope.
And she's like, goodbye, Norman. Goodbye, Norman. I thought that, I just couldn't help but think of that. So, great show.
Would it disturb you to find out that in the TV show, Elsa Grinwell is about 3 years old?
What, they give her a different role or something for creative reasons? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, 3 years old, and she talks to Matt, not Rand. Not in that way, though.
Anyway, sorry. I was making a joke about Hollywood and children, but it's fine.
Oh, the more you know. All right. But yeah, so, and he's always...
Salty Texas Sea is not here with you on Nerdporeal Lifeform today, so somebody has to make some political comments.
And the views of everybody, the views of the individual do not necessarily reflect the views of the panel. There you go. So, all right. So he gets. The mother notices that the daughter is looking at Rand that way, And so he's so freaking nervous. Like they start their little thing that they learned from Tom. So Matt's doing the juggling and Rand's playing the flute, and he's playing. And because of the fact that he is so nervous, he doesn't want this to end because he's worried he's going to get confronted and get kicked out. He just plays every song that he knows. And then they're like, okay, Elsie, you're sleeping with the mother's like, Elsie, you're sleeping with me tonight. You guys can sleep in Elsie's room. And they're like, oh, I think the dad's just like, you guys could stay, tomorrow. And she's like, no. And the mom's like, no. The mistress like, no, they gotta go.
I love that detail of the mom being like looking at the way her daughter's looking at him and being like, ha, no.
no.
That just seems right that like the dad is kind of oblivious and the mom is like, absolutely not.
And it seems like a certain lady was wearing the pants in that family.
Right.
But it's a good juxtaposition between how Rand behaves with another girl who's attracted to him and how Egwene acts with a certain individual who's attracted to her.
Rand is a perfect gentleman and she is a hoe, is I think what you're trying to say.
Maybe mind the gap.
But yeah, just like I just laugh every time I read that. I read when they're thinking that, like when parents like, oh, what would Rand do? Rand's really good with the ladies. What would he do with women? How does he talk to women every day? And the same thing. I think that's hilarious. So I hope that pays off. And don't say anything. I'll drink.
That's not really a read and find out. That is a running gag that lasts. Like I'm pretty sure they dropped that one in like with 5 pages left in A Memory of Light or something. Like they rock that bit consistently 4 or 5 times a book easy.
Yeah.
It is definitely good. It's one of the top running jokes. I think we've mentioned that before on these, that like it just stays with you. It's one of those things that is, I think, generally pretty well loved by the fandom. That there's a few kind of running gags. One of them has to do with a character that we meet for the first time in this section.
Yep.
But there's a few that are just good. They don't have any payoff. They don't do anything other than give you a little bit of insight into the characters. Like it. Yeah. I mean, the joke serves nothing other than to like give a little bit of kind of humility, maybe, to the characters themselves, that none of them think that they're super awesome and amazing. Like my friends are better than I am. It's like kind of a general thing, which is just good, wholesome stuff. But it's funny.
Yeah, I love it.
Beneath their breasts.
I'm not sure that's a joke. That's just Robert Jordan. I mean, hey. Yeah, it's just good.
Harriet didn't edit any of that out, so.
Oh yeah, that's right. His wife was his editor. Did she? So she edited all of his books that he published.
Yes.
Okay. And I saw
Daniel calls
her
Egwene egg whore.
Yeah, I'm just curious how much she is involved with the series, because I saw an interview with her, an Amazon interview with her, because I was just going through.
I don't think she's very involved with the series at all. I think they listed her as an executive producer or something like that. Maybe like they might have a little bit of whatever. But the rights were sold for the show like 2 decades ago, almost, like a really long time ago. So she functionally has no leverage over the creation of the show.
Yeah.
And she hasn't really made any statements about the show, which in contrast, like even Brandon Sanderson was out there kind of talking about the show a little bit. I feel like she's mostly been pretty quiet, which, I mean, she's an elderly lady at this point, and I suspect not much involvement.
Yeah, I just watched an interview with her. Like, she was talking about Robert Jordan, and this was at the Amazon thing. And then they gave out cupcakes for his birthday. I don't know if it was last. I'm assuming this was last year or something. But yeah, that was what I listened to. So I was curious how involved she was.
So the other thing you have to remember about her is that she was sued and paid out a fairly significant amount of money for bad-mouthing The Winter Dragon on FX.
Yes.
So, like, she has actually not only, she got sued and lost money because she said bad things about an adaptation. So, I don't think her silence cannot be taken as anything other than silence.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a good point to make. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, there's definitely some people who wish that she would be out there, flaming sword in hand, like going after the adaptation among people who dislike the show.
Yeah, it's
But
never
I
gonna
think
happen.
Alex is bringing out a good point that like that's never going to happen. Like she's you know she is not going to go out there and actively harm herself, her family, their fortune, all that stuff, and also drag. You fight with a pig. Get prepared to get dragged into the mud, right? Robert Jordan's
I
legacy
was
is probably the only thing she cares about, and the books are his legacy. The show isn't. So.
Yeah, I agree.
See, and I was not aware of that lawsuit, so I was the one who was curious. Is like, why isn't she standing up for it? Because I mean, is she just gonna give me the money and I'm gonna go hide in a corner? That changes my mind on that argument. So thanks for bringing that up, Alex.
Yep. Now, it is important to mention that the company that sued her is also an executive producer on this show.
Yeah.
So,
oh shit.
Yeah. So,
yeah, because they still retained some kind of rights. So it's Red Eagle Entertainment, right?
Yep.
And they didn't like just sell the rights to Amazon. They basically they sort of attached themselves onto the Amazon production.
They optioned to Sony, who said, if Amazon will pay for it, Amazon can have it on Prime Video. Is basically the arrangement that was made.
Okay. All right. I don't know. I kind of derailed my own stream here. So just really quickly, I need Pips to answer this. I need Pips to address this right here. Keep us from all going insane like the Telltale Heart. I was thinking there was a Star Trek episode where you had to wear sunglasses to go from going insane.
Actually, what it is if you spend so much time walking in the light, that's what the sunglasses are for.
Oh yeah.
It's the blinding glare of all this light. So hey, join the White Cloaks, and you too can wear sweet sunglasses day or night, and claim that they're an occupational sort of safety device.
Yep. There you go.
There you go.
I'll have to do
an
that
80s
eventually.
video for a minute.
They live. All right. So going back on track. So they leave the farm and then they start going to this town called Arian, and they play at all the towns for meal and room because of how successful they were at the farm. And of course they do this for several days, and I like how this chapter ends in particular. They're like, this was great. They were doing such a great job until they got to the dancing cartman and the Four Kings. Once the Four Kings happened, then I like how he ends it with saying shit is going to go down in this next chapter right there. I just love that. It just makes me excited right there. So now we're in the Four Kings, and this is like a crossroads town, I believe. So it's like it's very run down. People act like the people here remind me of city, fellow Chicagoans, very rude, keep to themselves, unlikable. I know I'm one of them. That's not the point. But so there's like, and this is a bigger town that's got 4 inns, but 3 of them already have musicians. All 3 already have musicians, so they don't need them. So they go to this 4th place called the Dancing Cartman. Fuck this. Sorry, I just had to do that. We meet this really toxic male. We meet this toxic male innkeeper. What's his name? Samuel Hake. Samuel Hake. Was he Japanese? Samuel Hake.
I've always said Hake as well, but
I said Hake.
So I believe there's a distinguishing feature about this innkeeper, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, and this is something that we've never encountered before: a thin innkeeper. And so how I know, Pips, I know this might burn you, but like I envisioned this character looking like David Bradley as Walder Frey from Game of Thrones. So that's how I pictured this character. So I could see that as a complete asshole. So
yeah, I could see that. I think that's probably a pretty good casting if somebody had actually made an adaptation of this scene.
just somebody that's nasty and was willing to stab you in the neck, probably look and just just a thin, nasty individual. So,
Wasn't this chapter actually adapted into like a little short film on YouTube?
Yes.
Really?
So
yeah, it's been
what is it
mentioned
called?
on a couple of the
Something in the Shadow?
rewatches, and yeah, I will here. I'll post a link to it in the chat here if you're interested.
I am interested. I
It's
kind of
pretty
want
good.
to. I kind of see it. Were there any other adaptations of chapters and from My the World? I know there was the prologue. I know that there was one for the prologue, right?
This was like a very low effort sort of fan made thing.
Is it still better than the show though?
Better.
Yes.
It's,
Okay, then
it's so
then
much
it's
better.
yeah. So all right, then it's accepted. Then it is, as Gus Fring says, it is acceptable. So. All right, so we got Samuel Hake. Jesus, I said it. A very thin innkeeper and shady individual. And the first thing that I noticed, or the first thing, like he's just abusive to his staff. He's like, why do we need? He's just a completely unpleasant person to like customers, and he's completely unpleasant to Rand and them. And I like how, I'll say this, he's like he just acts like a jerk to them. I like how later in the chapter, like Rand just starts to stick up for himself, and he starts using he starts negotiating using his position to bully the Hake in order to get what they want. Everything he's like I'm not going to feed you. Screw you. You're just going to work, and you're going to work, and you work, and I'm going to steal your sword because I know you have a Huron sword, and I'm going to steal it without them saying it. Like throughout this whole chapter, like they are like Rand's like, I want to get the fuck out of here. I don't want to stay. Like this is I rather take my chances out there. And Matt's the one that actually says no. I want to eat. We're doing this. I want to eat and everything. So. And so they're playing, and all of a sudden there's this other dude who we've never seen before who's wearing velvet. Yeah, I remembered that detail at least. I wrote it down. He's wearing velvet, and we find out that this guy is from Whitebridge. He traveled all the way from Whitebridge, and he was going to all the different inns to find something in particular. And we find out because he's staring at Matt and he's staring at Rand, he was looking for them. And we find out his name is Howell Goad. And we find out that he had these really big carriages in the stable. So they're like, what was he carrying in those carriages? Was it men? It was men. Because what happens is, I thought this was great. We were scared the whole time of. I mean, he was kind of there. There was some tension with him, but most of the tension, especially when I was reading it, was I was expecting something to happen with Hake and his two lackeys. His two lackeys. I thought they were going to steal the sword. They were going to do something, throw them out, rough them up, and everything. But no, it was no. I kind of got a little sidetracked, and we got Goad, knocking on their door, saying, "Hey, come on out, little pigs, let me in, join us or die," or something like that. And of course, they wedged the door to keep them out, and we get the one power. We get lightning. We get Rand's first lightning attack. I'll call it thunder in Final Fantasy terms. Just Thunder 1, everything. Well, okay, probably not Thunder 1, but something along those lines, and it just makes a hole in the wall. And I think Matt is temporarily blinded, right? Is he blinded, or is he just his eyes hurt?
He's temporarily blinded.
Yeah,
temporarily blinded, and it kills Goad and all of his lackeys, I believe. And then they run off into the storm. I just love that. That was just a great, like, tense chapter right there. It was long, but it paid off.
It will always, never fail, 100% of the time, be cool when somebody calls down lightning to destroy something.
Yeah, and what's funny was this, like, I don't think he was in control. Like, Rand was basically like, we're not going to get out of this. We're not going to get out of this. We're not going to get out of this. And all of a sudden, boom.
This This reading this scene, right? This seems like, man, if someone was to make a movie about this book, like this seems like a scene
A very
that you
pivotal
would
one.
probably want in that movie, right? Like, or
Yeah.
that TV show. Like
Yeah.
Alex said, like calling
oh
lightning.
no! Oh no!
Calling lightning, pretty cool. Pretty
Oh,
cool,
no.
right?
Yep.
Are you saying what I think you're gonna say?
I am saying nothing. You'll have to not watch and never find out.
I thought after I read this, we were gonna watch it.
I mean, if you wanna punish yourself, like I will come and like drink heavily and laugh at your pain. Like I can do that.
Laugh at my pain. Well, I need my pain. So yeah, okay, okay. I do want to. I do need to. Hey, no.
Is it or is it
friend.
it's like if you've counseled like a child to not do something, and it's not super dangerous, but like it's they shouldn't do it, and they're like, I'm going to do it anyway, and you're like, okay.
I'm not a child.
Okay, then
I'm
you
not
break up the popcorn. Just
there you
go. This may or may not be why I shouldn't legally be allowed to have children. But another discussion for another time, maybe.
No. It is what you do when you have children, and you're just kind of like, okay, well, they've got to learn somehow.
like how important this chapter is. Like this, it's setting up. I mean, I've read the books. I know how it ends, but this is setting up for the final part of the book.
Yes, it is
right here. So like this has to be in an adaptation. So, well,
unless
unless
you don't have the end of the book in the adaptation, and then problem solved.
Yeah, they would do that, wouldn't they? So yeah, I love it. I just love the fact that they had to escape into the rainy night. It was just crazy right there. So
I liked so talking about this scene, right? Like so building tension throughout this the book so far. They're getting chased, they're getting pursued. Everywhere they go that they think is safe ends up not being safe. And like the two of them, they're on their own. They've been, roughing it, trying to avoid situations. And the first time, like you said, Matt's like, I'm tired of sleeping under bushes. Like, let's go get a meal and like sleep in a hayloft or something. Like we can one time, like it'll be fine. Like nobody's after us. We haven't seen anybody for days. Right. And even there, like, one of one, they encounter some people after them. They get locked into this room. Like the walls are closing in. Right.
Yeah.
And I think that it serves a great purpose, not just the whole like calling lightning being awesome and like setting up Rand's kind of powers and abilities and all that stuff, but like the building tension and the fact that like no place is safe. And
yeah, but that dark friend, because it continues in the next chapter. Like they have a couple more encounters with other dark friends.
Yep.
And how that plays on Matt. How that plays on Matt.
Oh yeah,
it really kicks off after this. And just completely the paranoia, like Rand is kind of paranoid looking over his shoulder a lot of times, but Matt's like on cocaine with that shit
because of a certain jeweled trinket in his
when you're talking about Matt's paranoia, I mean that one goes to 11, yeah,
especially when they get to Camelin and everything. So but yeah, I like
this was also a great moment for Matt's character because we don't see it, but Rand is like out of it. Rand is blown up. He's loopy. He's basically unconscious, and Matt's just dragging his ass for like a week because he won't let his friend down. Won't abandon his friend, and you don't get a lot of it because it's all from Rand's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Rand's unconscious for a lot of it, but when it comes to sort of establishing Matt as like, even coked out of his mind, Matt is still a good dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even like, it's not even coked out of his mind. It's like, even like under the influence of like an epic defining evil.
Yeah.
He's still a good dude.
It's a great way to put it, but and it really sets the stage for Rand in future books, just how his reaction is always he may not like it, but he's going to do what's right. and he's going to just do it to the best of his ability. And it's a great point that you make there, Alex.
I think Matt really shines in this next chapter, where like so Matt is partially blinded in the beginning. So what's interesting about this next chapter is it starts with them. It starts at the end. It starts chronologically. It starts at the end of that chapter. They're on Chaim Kinch's cart, or they're on his cart, and they're in the Rand is recovering from what do they call it, sighting sickness, because he casted lightning and for the first time and everything. So
I don't know that they give a real name to it. It's sometimes described as kind of channeling sickness or something like that, but I don't think that's actually a term that the book establishes. I think that's sort of a fandom term, kind of like channeler.
All right, but they do talk earlier in the book that that if you're not properly trained, that you can get really sick if you
can die.
Yeah, or you can die. There you go. All right, true.
Yeah, that's the discussion between Maureen and Nynaeve when she's revealing to Nynaeve she can use the power.
Yeah. So they're hanging out there, or they're being driven by this Chaim Kinch guy, and of course he offers them. So they talk about I think they talk about where are you from? He's like, oh, we're from. I think Matt tries to lie, and Rand tells the truth at the same time. Or Matt tries to be evasive while Rand tells the truth at the same time. So he says 2 rivers, and I think he actually knows where the 2 rivers are. He's like, really? The thing's supposed to be really that bad if you come out all the way out here and everything. So, and then I think they actually talk about are they truly Andor subjects? That was another thing that I know is going to be brought up further down the line. Like the 2 rivers, are they truly Andor subjects? Maybe they should be paying their taxes or something. They haven't been there for generations, I believe.
So my sister talks about this when she talks about how if you had to characterize the 2 rivers, there are 2 things that are said in life to be inevitable: death and taxes. The 2 rivers is so remote that taxes doesn't come to the 2 rivers. Like, that is how completely out of nowhere the 2 rivers is.
I need to find this place.
Right. Oh, geez, you think you got a bad Nerdporeal in freaking Chicago? Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
What's your tax rate at? 72% nowadays?
Hey, allegedly in Chicago, allegedly, or he could just be nearby. Maybe he's just heard of Chicago. We don't.
Because if he was in Chicago, wouldn't he be dead already?
Well, I've gone on like 3 or 4 mile walks every day, so maybe I'm a ghost. Maybe I have Nerdporeal friends everywhere. Better watch out.
So there's another interesting thing about what Alex was saying there about how it's so remote that they don't even pay taxes, right? There's a few other examples of places like the 2 rivers in terms of the fact that nobody has any real claim on them, that we see throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't spoiler, really. It's just kind of an interesting thing to note. So you'll see a good number of them kind of in the next book. And one of the ideas is that all of these places are, with maybe one notable exception, are little fortress kind of things. They're all very worried about bandits and all this kind of stuff, right? So the 2 rivers is somewhat unique even within the list of these remote areas, in that it's bad stuff doesn't come and happen in the 2 rivers, right? So these communities of hardworking individuals who help each other out and stuff like that, they take care of their own. They're sort of an insular community, and it's one of the things that establishes kind of the idea that the 2 rivers is, for lack of a more kind of real world comparison, is kind of a Mennonite community or something like that, where everyone sort of knows everyone. There's a lot of family and kinship ties, a very small, close-knit community that just everybody works hard and helps each other out and all this stuff, which goes a long way to explaining why there isn't a whole lot of crime. There's not vagrancy and moral sort of problems in the 2 rivers, because a community that's on its own that much, that's so remote, has to solve those problems, or else
Themselves.
it festers, right? So
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I always thought it was because they were just so far away that like just trying to go out and grab, sending men out, sending resources out to get, collect taxes was it even worth it, especially with all the hazards that could be along the way and everything. So a lot of risks, a lot of risks there too.
I think that's the in-world narrative behind why the taxman and the Queen's Guard don't go that far, but it's hard to explain outside of a really kind of self-policing controlled community between two rivers. It's hard to explain how much economic activity they participate in, where like Two Rivers tobacco is known throughout the world. Also their wool, like lots of people know of the Two Rivers and like know, hey, yeah, wool and tobacco, like that's what comes out of this place.
Yeah.
Whereas real world and the other examples of this that we see in the world of the Wheel of Time are like nobody goes there. Nobody knows where they are. They don't have any exports. They're just barely holding on. So they are an outlier as such a strong and internally self-organized community, which plays into some narratives that the series will end up going into.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So we start off with going back to this. So we start off at the end, and then there's a we recollect the reader I don't know if the character recollects or they're just simply the narration recollects how the last chapter ended. So they're fleeing the dancing cartman. And one thing that I noticed that kind of melted my heart was like it was just Matt's like, please don't leave me. Please don't leave me. And Rand's like, I'll never leave you. And it's just something that moves me. It just moved me right there. So, so they I think they sleep in the bushes and everything. They find some bushes. They find a place to hide. They hide in the bushes. It's still raining, so they fall asleep. And we get this great dream. we get another Balsamon dream right here. And we learn that Goads is dead, and like he just has his head on display, and then he's like, oh, I release you, and the head just goes crumbles into dust and everything. At least I think that's what it was. And yeah, so and what he pulls a Super Mario. He takes a fireball and just throws it at Rand's face, and it burns. It starts burning his face, and he wakes up and he's got sunburn. He's got like sunburn on his face. So I just couldn't help but think, some Freddy Krueger aspect here. So there's points where they take stuff, they wake up to stuff that they dreamed about, and then there's times where they don't. Like especially all those times where a raven will just eat somebody's eye in a dream. That never turns out to be the case. But when there's a bramble, there's a thorn, or you get pricked by a thorn, you get burned, or you get Fire Mario'd in the face and everything. Then that comes with you into the reality and everything. So, is there an explanation for that later down the line? Like,
gentlemen, would you like to get this one?
So first of all, read and find out.
Okay.
I will say though that the rules for the dream world are still slightly unclear here. So this isn't a perfect recollection of how it's supposed to work, but it is foreshadowing a mechanism of this universe.
Okay. Because I know this happened to Perrin, I think a few chapters ago. Same thing. Raven comes and just eats his eye or takes his eye out and everything. And I'm just like, oof. This is probably one of the more grisly parts of
what I will say about the dreams and like the rules of dreaming is that nothing that happens in the eye of the world from my perspective is contradicted with the rules that we learned later. But at this point, from the POVs that you're experiencing it, the rules are unclear. So, you're experiencing Rand's confusion, which is similar to what you experience at the end of this book, like Rand's confusion. Also, on the road here with Rand and Matt, there's definitely some confusion, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, about like what the order of events are and like what's actually happening, because Rand is sick and kind of in and out of his fever state and all that stuff. So the story itself doesn't answer very many questions. It has some confusion, but it's not because it's not correct and later gets retconned or something like that, which is an argument that you sometimes see people make about the dream world and also the ending of the Eye of the World.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes. I mean, yeah, can't wait to find out what those rules are. So yeah, like you said, just could be from their point of view and everything, their state of mind, their feelings, everything. So yeah, their confusion, as you said. So okay, so that kind of goes. The answers that kind of answers that. So, but yeah, I just couldn't help it. I had the Fire Mario sound effect when he did that. I couldn't help but think that. So yeah, Nintendo fan right here. Sue me. So all right, so they go to this market town. I think it's called Market Sharan or something, and they find an inn to stay at. I think they just barely had enough money to afford this, so they go. So they stay the night, then they go and get breakfast, and then of course we meet Peter, and Peter's like, I have to talk to you. I have I did this wasn't my idea. I think that's what he was trying to go for. Wasn't my idea. And they're just like, go away, get the fuck away from us. He's like, I like how Matt just says, you're a dark friend. And he's just like, so what if I am? And then they try to leave, and then of course I think that is when Rand pops him in the face, pops him in the nose, and everything. And then they flee. They end up fleeing, and then they go to another place. What's the other place they go to? I forget where they go. Where do they go? They go to another place. Rand gets sick, and of course, the Queen. Okay, I think it's called the Queen's Man. In this, I think is what it's called. And Rand gets sick, and of course, he gets sick while they were about to perform and everything for this end. But he gets sick, so Matt steps up, despite the fact that he's going through he's dealing with his own issues that we've seen throughout the last several chapters. But he steps up and he takes care of Rand, and this was, I thought, was the highlight of Matt so far in this story. Was him. He took care of him. He made sure he was warm, brought him his food, and protected him. He protected him. A woman. Well, I don't know. I mean, actually, no. I think he was sleeping. So we get another visit from a female dark friend this time. She comes in. She pretends to be a doctor or something. She's like, I'm going to look at Rand, but then he takes out his dagger and he holds her at bay and disarms her. I think I forget exactly how that scenario goes. But then
she goes for a stab. The dagger gets buried into a wood beam. It smokes a little bit. So
did she try to stab Rand, or did she try to stab him, Matt?
She tries to stab Matt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, she goes for him. He blocks it, then lets it slide. It impales the post, and it starts to melt the post.
Why does it melt the post? Is it like a magic dagger or something?
Yes, she has a magic fire dagger.
Okay.
And then Matt pulls out the magic Shale Ghoul dagger, and she's like, "Damn, I have a level 50 magic dagger, but you have a level 200 magic dagger, and I'm gonna lose this." And it's
pretty much this scene is just Matt going Crocodile Dundee on this lady.
Yep. I still have not seen that movie.
Yeah.
That's not annoying. This is annoying.
Exactly.
Yeah, she lost the dick measuring contest.
Oh no. Yep. So this is where Matt was like, he was because of the influence. I'm assuming this is the influence of the dagger, but he was willing to kill her. And Rand was barely awake. He's like, dude, don't. don't. And so what they do is they ended up, leaving. I think they lock her in the stable. So they leave, they lock her in the stable, and they flee. They flee once again.
Yeah, and she threatens them with the approaching fade.
Yeah,
he's on his way, and so it just adds to the paranoia.
Well, no, bitch, nobody's going to hear you because you're in the stable now. So we'll see.
This entire sequence is great because it shows almost the that they themselves are like in a rushed panic and don't know what to do and think of themselves as just like bumbling morons. But like Peter the Dark Friend looks at him and goes, "Oh my God, look at these badass motherfuckers! Like these are the champions of the light. This is who the Dark One has me trying to go after." And like, cause that kid is scared to even like go talk to him. And then the female with the Dark Friend is going, "Oh my God, look at this cool magical weapon these guys have." And meanwhile, Rand and Matt are just like, "God, I really hope they don't notice that this guy is blind and isn't going to be able to do anything."
Yeah. But I think that's basically how chapter 33 goes. So we got in an hour. We got 3 chapters. Now we have to do another 9 or 10. So I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, but we'll try. We'll have to really accelerate this here. But yeah, I really like these early chapters. That's why I'm willing to talk about those. And of course the setup here. This chapter, this next chapter is basically the one where they find where they get to this, they start finding like a bunch of people, like they're this close to Camelin. They're this close to Camelin. There's a whole bunch of people on the road now, a bunch of people, young men, probably teenage to early 20s. They're on the road. They're all want to see the dragon. So the dragon's already been in custody. Logain is in custody, being escorted by Aes Sedai. They're going to be, I think they're taking him to Tar Valon, and they're passing through Camelin to go to Tar Valon, to go to the house of the Aes Sedai, respectively. So everybody's trying to get there so that they could see Logain and and say, "Hey, I was there." And I'm sure they have I'm sure they have smartphones. They take selfies in Camelin, like that. So, but yeah, so they're getting this close. They get to this one town. And they see like they're about to go to this inn. I don't know if it's the only inn in town. It probably is. And the innkeeper is talking to a figure in black. I wonder who that is. A figure in black, and the innkeeper looks very unsettled talking to this individual. Well, we guessed right. It's another fade. And so apparently there's a bounty. What?
Or the same one.
You think so? You think it's the same one? Never know. But so apparently there's a bounty. There's a bounty on them. Like they're like, "Oh, we're looking for these 2 young men who stole hair and sword, and they're wanted. They've killed people or something." I forget exactly how it went, but they're basically being watched, and so they witnessed that conversation, and then there's another conversation between the innkeeper and this guy named what the hell's his name? Bunt. His name is Bunt or Bunt. I'll assume he's German. Bunt. And Bunt doesn't believe anything. He doesn't believe anything about what's going on. And the innkeeper is like, "Get the fuck away from me! You're not gonna take this serious. Get the fuck away from me!" So they approach. Rand and Matt approach Bunt, and they're like, "Hey, can you give us a lift? We need to go to Camelin. We're going to see the dragon and everything." He's like, "Sure. Why? Why not? Why not? You guys look like you could use some help." And then they get into and they talk about a whole bunch of we learn quite a bit about about what's going on in Camelin, the politics, just it starts to really start based on their conversation, an unwanted conversation. You ever been in an unwanted conversation? I've been in an unwanted conversation. And he's just talking about all the politics of Camelin, like how there's people there. There's like different factions. Like you have your loyalists who are garbed in like red, I believe, and then you have the ones that are against Queen Morghese, who are like clothed in white or something. So you have the whites versus the reds. That didn't sound right. It sounded very racial, but that's beside the point. And then we learn about Queen Morghese is the queen. So my question is, in this city or in this kingdom, so is it the succession goes to the eldest or to the female, to the daughter, as opposed
Yes.
to the way Game of Thrones does it, or with the
Yep,
son?
it's a matriarchal line.
Is it just Andor, or is this most of the kingdoms in this world?
It's just Andor.
Every kingdom has it a little bit differently. Andor is the only one that has a purely matriarchal succession, I believe.
You guys are being nice to him. I was going to say read and find out.
Damn.
Well,
so the,
it does say it does not go without its challenge.
yes, it does not go without its challenge, and I will also say that it isn't frequently a clean break. Morghese, who is the queen, didn't get there cleanly, if that makes sense. There was a bit of an issue.
Yeah, I read. I read that there was like so there was issues, like, there was like two of the heirs, were one was killed and one is missing, and I accidentally looked up the one that was missing. I was like, oh shit, I gotta click out of this. Out of this. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yep.
Yeah. So
It's a bad one to spoil.
You can't go Google stuff.
Yeah,
but I will say, like, all of that is established in this scene, right? At least the previous break in the secession.
Yeah.
Because, as you're going to get to, and we do meet Galad in this scene.
Yeah.
And Elaine, in the process of saying how she, hates her brother, you pretty much.
Now he's a half brother, right? That's her father's son.
So
he's not related to their mother.
Yep.
Okay.
So you kind of learn how, there was a secession dispute about 20 years before the events of the story.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, I think Tom was mixed up in all that. We learned that he was like the court bard. He was the court bard, and he was in love with, Queen Morghese, and because of the issue with his nephew, he had to leave, and she didn't like that. You don't just, leave a queen. I think he might have said something to her that made considered him for beheading and everything. So can't show his face around there again.
Yeah, Morghese is big mad.
Big what?
Big mad.
Oh yeah. You don't want to piss her off. So there it was interesting learning. It was interesting learning about the politics of Camelin. Of course, they get into Camelin. Now we're chapter 35. Camelin's big ass city. I just couldn't help but think of. I just thought of just a big shiny city with lots of walls. That's what I thought of when, seeing when we were introduced to Camelin. Just a big city, lots of walls. And yeah, so what's the first thing they do in Camelin? They go to what the hell's the name of that inn that Tom told them to go to?
The Queen's Blessing.
The Queen's Blessing. Yeah, they go to the Queen's Blessing. I'm surprised you remember this stuff, but then again, you've read this 7 times. Oh, I can't wait! You know what? I can't wait to find out why this Heron Mark sword business is so important. Like, just it's like the source of so much tension in my read. And I know I'm not asking you, because I know I'm sure it's going to be a read to find out. So here you go. I'm going to drink that. I said
that. I'll say about the Heron Mark sword. I will say that the sword itself, on some level, the sword is just a sword, right? Would you guys agree with that?
Yes, it's not. It doesn't shoot fireballs.
Yeah. So my wife was reading this book, and she was like, "Oh, he's got a magic sword," and it's like it's not a magic sword. It's a sword that was made with magic. maybe a little different.
Maybe you shouldn't have said that. I didn't know that.
In this series, or in this book, I think it gets mentioned. And if not, it's at the very start of the next one. It's not.
you don't have far to read to find out.
Yeah,
I did read 2 chapters of Great Hunt.
I'm
I read
pretty
the
sure
first
it's
chapter and I read the
the end of
prologue.
this book anyway. If not, maybe
Okay.
it's the start of next book. I could be misremembering. Either way, but like it's not Excalibur or something like that, right? So that's all I'm saying.
There's no ladies of the lake. There's no pulling swords out of stones.
No strange women lying in ponds distributing swords,
or causing water to dump into a lava and create Mount Doom. Oh, sorry, wrong show. Sorry, I talked about that show that we don't talk about. So
it's an indication of ability, and that's really been alluded to, I think, throughout the whole, why has he got a Heron Mark sword type of discussion throughout the book so far. So I don't think that's a spoiler, but you don't know what level it is.
You saw that probably the best example of that was back in Bearlawn, where the White Cloaks and a certain Dane Bornhald was going to step 2, and somebody's like, "Hey, Heron Mark," and he's like, "Oh, maybe I don't want to fight this guy."
It's true. I forgot about that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to learn more about why Tam had that particular sword. That's one thing I'm looking forward to. Is that something that will that I can read to find out?
Kind of. I mean, based on context clues, you already know it's the 3rd degree black belt of swords.
Yeah.
Like, people see it and they piss themselves. You also saw Tam lay waste to
several
Trollocs. 20 Trollocs at the house. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah. It is just it's that extreme ability with it, and people are in awe of the existence of it.
Yeah, I'll say that, like, some of these things, right? I don't want to say read and find out, because like it's one of those, like, you will eventually read and find out more stuff, but mainly that's just a function of the fact of like how much world building Robert Jordan accomplishes in the series, and like it goes on for a lot of books. So I guess, like, yeah, it's good that he used the space to fill it out, right? But pretty much everything ends up kind of having some amount of exploration. You get a lot of this sort of surrounding detail, and through a few different POVs and a few little pieces of information you get over the course of the series, you'll learn more about Rand's father and all that kind of stuff. So it's not necessarily read and find out. It's
wait a minute. Tam is his father. Tam is his father. Tam.
I mean, he says so, and you have no reason to doubt him, right?
Yeah, exactly. None whatsoever. Tam is his father, by hook or by crook. So
yep.
I like, that's another thing that's been recurring, is just him, like whenever somebody brings up I'm gonna say this right away, because next chapter he goes up to the library and he meets Loyal the Ogier. That's how you say it, right? Ogier, or is it Ogier? Ogier. Okay. And he's like,
it's not ogre.
Well, I know it's not ogre. I kept saying Ogier.
It's Trolloc.
Oh, yeah. Trolloc, yeah, because Matt calls him, Trolloc, because I think Ogiers are like 10 feet tall or something, roughly Goliath height or something.
Yeah.
But he calls him an Aielman. And then I think the first thing that Rand is thinking is, no, Tam is my father. I'm from the Two Rivers. Tam is my father. My mother's an Outlander. I know that much, but Tam is my father. So,
sure, buddy.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Genetic says that a 5'8" guy, and because Cariel Thor was what? She was a Kyrianan?
I think she was Andorran. I think it was an Andorran wife. At a minimum, she's described as having, light hair, which doesn't really sound Kyrianan. I could be mistaken. Maybe Gadfly can say if he thinks I'm misremembering, but I think an Andorran wife.
Oh, nah, seriously? Why was 69 big a band?
She was a merchant's daughter from Camelin who lived in Ilion.
Sweet.
Okay. I can't wait to go to Ilion. I want to go to Ilion. You know, I want to see more of the places. I was disappointed. I came across a video. I learned they never go to Devon Ride. I'm like, really? They never go to Devon Ride.
What do you want to go to Devon Ride?
Huh?
Why do you want to go to Devon Ride?
I don't know, because I wanted to see it. I don't know. I don't know. Okay. I like it when things are fleshed out.
Okay, that's like saying like in a tour of the United States, they didn't go to like Lincoln, Nebraska.
What's wrong with that?
As
long as it's not California. Whoop.
Not even Lincoln, Nebraska. More like I don't know, Lincoln, Idaho, or something like that.
Lincoln, Idaho. I didn't even know there.
I don't even know if
they even really exist.
I bet there's a Lincoln, Idaho.
I'm sure if you were to ask people in Cameron whether Devon Ride existed, you'd probably get the exact same response.
Exactly.
You know, they they say, you know, I'm from the Two Rivers. Like, where? What's this Two Rivers?
Yeah, it's so I don't know, Nathan. You've probably experienced this where somebody asks you, where are you from? So you name the small town, and they say,
"Yep,
that is." So you name a slightly bigger town. They say still nope, and then you eventually just end up saying Columbus.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, because I grew up in Chillicothe, which is an hour south of Columbus, and it's always
Oh, there's a Chillicothe in Ohio too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There's one in Illinois.
Yeah.
South of Peoria.
Yeah. Yep. And so like you have a whole bunch of like small little towns around Chillicothe, and so they would always say like, well, I'm from Wellston, Ohio. Well, where's that? Well, it's right next to Chillicothe. Well, I've never heard of that. Where's that? Yeah, Columbus. go a little south, and you're right there. But so yeah, the progression's there. It's one of those places you just never hear of in common communication.
So I'm curious if this is true. Boise, Idaho, the city that always sleeps with sheeps. No clue. Got no
That's
clue.
Bad.
I don't know.
Excuse me. That's a drink. That was a drink.
They have blue turf.
They do. My brother went there. Not for
Right.
school, but he's been at a game there. They call it the Blueberry Bowl.
Blueberry Bowl? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm done with the bourbon. Now I'm going to drink this golf.
Oh man, I'm excited to hear what this one is. I'm always suspicious of alcohols that come in interesting shaped bottles.
I couldn't agree more. And also, I give you credit. That is the sort of thing that I would have to drink outside, because I would definitely pop it and then like throw it like a hand grenade.
I mean, it looks like it's a perfume bottle. Are you sure it's alcohol?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Have you seen the John Mulaney bit about weird things people do when they're blackout drunk? It tells the story where he was at a party and somebody hands him a bottle and says, "I don't know if this is expensive alcohol or perfume." So he grabs it, chugs it, hands it back to the person, and says, "It was perfume."
Wow. I'll be honest, I didn't feel anything.
That's disappointing.
Usually I feel like a burn or something. I don't feel anything.
So it is perfume.
All right, well, it's perfume then. All right.
It's Drakkar.
Drakkar. So, all right. So we learn more about the court from Master Gill. Apparently, there's an Aes Sedai that's on the that's in the Queen's court. Elida, I think it was Elida of the
Elida.
She's a red Aja. So I've learned so far that there's blue Aja, there's red Aja, and then there's black Aja. So
allegedly,
we can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay.
Better not tell Elida
I'm curious if red and blue are kind of symbolic of another red and blue in real life that kind of oppose each other and say one is totally evil, the other is totally evil. You're
gonna get the sort of White Tower politics explored later. the bottom line is that there are 7 different ajas, right? The different colored. The red is the largest. Makes up about a third of all Aes Sedai are red aja.
How many Aes Sedai are there? Do you know? At this point,
I think there's
thousands,
like
hundreds,
less than 1,000.
Okay, so
full,
not quite.
full
So
Aes
not
Sedai.
quite like Jedi. Not quite as much as Jedi, right? Before Clone Wars.
I don't know. Would you guys agree with that? Eye of the World. I think it's like there's like maybe 1,000 Aes Sedai.
So what is it?
So. It's significantly less than what it used to be.
A third of the Aes Sedai are reds.
Yeah.
21% is the other. So if we do that math correctly and we extrapolate it out, what can we come up with the answer? I want to say it was like 400 or something.
I guess I'm not sure what answer you're trying to.
I'm trying to figure out if there's a way for us to get the total answer, but I don't think you can, given the info we have here.
Yeah, I mean, certainly at this point, yeah. So Gadfly also saying about 1,000. So I think at this point, it doesn't get into it. It is a read and find out, I suppose, but it's not really like a mystery. Okay. It's just something you haven't been exposed to yet, and it's to the extent that the reds and the blues are in opposition. They are. You'll find out the explanation later. It's not like a big mystery, but it's just an interesting kind of historical thing. So, you know.
All right. I'm curious. I'm just like, I know, like, she, like, Moraine, like, has noticed, Egwene and Nynaeve as, potential, Aes Sedai and everything. I'm curious if they send people out to look for, future Aes Sedai, or do they breed their own Aes Sedai or something, or something? Like, I'm curious. Like, I'm guessing it's a read to find out.
I mean, it's again, it's not a mystery, narrative, but you'll learn more about them. I would say just know generally you're going to learn a lot more about the White Tower and the Aes Sedai. So at this point, you don't have the answers to these things.
Okay, that makes sense.
Nynaeve's case of ability with magic is not an isolated kind of thing in terms of her ability to live through it.
Oh, I'm not sure what you mean.
To live through the sickness.
There are more Wilders than just Nynaeve.
Oh, okay. All right. So going back to we're well into chapter 36, and so yeah, we meet Loyal already. So Loyal's already up in the library, and we learn that, like, I think they're pretty the ogres are the Ogiers or something are pretty. They don't really deal with the outside world. I think they're the ones that created the steadings in the first place to kind of shield themselves from. They did not. Okay.
The
male and female Aes Sedai.
Yeah, the Aes Sedai created the steadings for the Ogiers.
Oh, okay.
No, I disagree with that as well. I will say that I don't believe there is an answer on what created the steading. I have a personal theory that is completely just my brain's theory.
I think you've mentioned this before.
So my personal theory is that the one power is used to drive the wheel of time, right? So it is the energy that drives the wheel, and the wheel is essentially the world existence, right?
Yeah.
My theory is that when the creator made the world and bound it to the wheel and powered the one power to sort of propel the wheel, that the steading are the nodes where the one power is sort of attached to it, or like the spokes of the wheel sort of attached to,
kind of like in a circuit, right? Kind of like in an electrical circuit,
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Or you could think of it as like
node.
structural. So they're sort of the attachment points. That's just my theory. That's why, like, you can't use the one power in the steading, because, like, the steadings are maybe conduits. Like there's something about them that makes the one power unable to be like channeled by people there at least.
Yeah.
And there's other aspects to the steading. So Shadow Spawn won't go into a steading, which sort of makes the idea that the steading have some power that's in opposition to the Dark One.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's 100% just my theory. Maybe somebody else can say if they have some theories on it, but I would say it's never really established.
Okay. So walk me through this then, because we know in the other place that there are way more steadings. The other continent. So is the other continent just more significant, such that there need to be more attachment points?
I don't think that we know that there are more, but I'd also say that I don't think the physical location of the steading is important to their function. So the steading existed, and the breaking happened, and the steading got moved around, but like that didn't do anything, right? Again, my theory could totally be just batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just like it.
All right, fair enough.
Okay. All right. But but the thing that we do know is that it was created by male and female Aes Sedai.
No, the steading, to our knowledge, the steading were
Always
not created.
Oh, okay.
That is one operating theory. We do not have an answer.
Okay. Do we? I mean, we know about the Dark One. Do we learn about the creator? Kind of like the way Tolkien has talked about the creator of Arda and everything.
No, we don't really get an Iluvatar comparison.
We can talk about the creator when we get to the end of this. Book.
Yeah.
At the end of Eye of the World.
Yeah.
Okay. We could do that. All right, but yeah, so it's just interesting.
Gadfly fiction, I think, also like not spoiling a whole lot, but another theory. Yep, could be connection points between the different worlds.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kind of fan theories about steading because it's not.
Yeah.
The Ogier in general are not well explained.
Because they're like one of the few at least I consider Ogier a non-human race. So you have you have your Andorans, you have your Aiel, you have your people in the Two Rivers and everything. They're all basically human. I mean, they might have different characteristics. Some are taller than others. Some have different, color eyes, color hair, and everything. But I still consider them human. Whereas Ogiers are basically they're totally. I mean, I wouldn't say they're totally different, but like they just don't. I don't see them as human. I just see them as another fantasy type of race. They're like giants, basically giants and ogres, basically. So I'll have to give Jordan credit, like just creating just didn't use the typical elves or stuff from Lord of the Rings. So I always appreciate creativity and everything in that front. So
yeah, my wife thinks that they're a little bit like Ents. But
they sound like Ents. They talk when you hear the word hasty. When I hear the word hasty come out of their mouths, I always think of Treebeard. I just
I don't think they are Ents, but I can understand the comparison. If you think that Eye of the World is a little bit of an homage to Tolkien, that it has the closest elements to sort of Tolkienian narrative, it's very possible that just like Trollocs and Fades bear some resemblance and sort of borrow from the orcs and sort of the ring wraiths and stuff like that. I think that the Ogier and the Green Man that we meet at the end, I think the Green Man is a stronger argument for Ents, but
the Green Man. I looked up the Green Man had a name. I didn't realize it because I was looking up, believe it or not, I was looking up Eye of the World, what the Eye of the World was. So.
I agree. Gadfly Fiction's point there. They kind of straddle the line maybe a little bit between Ents and elves and things like that. They're among the mythical and like non-human characters in the series. I think they're the most unique to Jordan. I think that Ogier are their own thing.
Yeah, I agree.
They're big druids.
Yeah.
I forgot to bring up the I forgot to bring up the Eye of the World. They bring up the Eye of the World several times. This read, I think Balsamon brings it up once, and well, we'll get to it. I guess we'll get to it. We'll get to that. So, but yeah, Loyal knows like of Manetheren. He's basically, oh, you're from the Two Rivers. Oh wait, that was Manetheren, wasn't it? Well, and we find out that Loyal left his steading. I'm guessing because I think he said he's 90 years old roughly. That's like a teenage. I think that's like roughly a teenager or like equivalent to how old Rand is in Ogier years. I'm guessing. So he's basically like a teenager, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, and Rand is 20 years old, like 19, I think. So
I thought they were like 17 or 18. Okay, I guess they're older.
Yeah, Egwene is supposed to be, I think, 16, and then Rand, Mat, and Perrin are like 19 or 20, I believe.
Yeah, they're all supposed to be within like a month of each other, like within a week of each other. That's why that's why those three, that's why the Trollocs and that's why the Dark Friends are all after them, because they're born within this particular time. So
yeah, Rand finds it humorous that he's as old as old Senbui, and
yes,
but he's reticent to mention how old he is to then call Loyal old.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty. So Gadley Fly Fiction says 18. At least that's what I thought. So look at all that smoke coming from Nathan. Wow, jeez. One of these days I gotta smoke a pipe. One of these days I gotta learn how to smoke. Learn how to smoke a pipe.
I highly recommend it.
Okay. So they take a break from Camelin, and then we're going back. We finally go back to everybody else we haven't seen in like several chapters. So we finally see, Nynaeve and Lan and Moraine, Egwene and Perrin, and basically, this is basically a two-parter chapter. Chapters 36 or 37 and 38 are basically a two-parter. So we get Nynaeve's point of view in 37. So they find the three of them, her and Moraine and Lan. They find the White Cloaks encampment, and Lan goes and scouts it out, checks it out, and they find out the Perrin's being held there, and well, because of Nynaeve's ability, he sends her to go create a distraction. So she cuts the horses. She cuts like the what's holding the horses there, and then they ride off to distract the White Cloaks long enough so that Lan can go in and rescue Perrin. And while that's all going on, Perrin is being tormented by Byre. Byre is just being is a sadistic asshole, and I guess he likes to torment him. I don't know if he enjoys it, because based on what I've read, like he doesn't enjoy it. He just does it. He's zealous. He's zealous enough to do that. So, and of course Lan doesn't kill him, and I think Perrin's like, "You didn't kill him, did you?" He's like, "No, you didn't kill him." And so they get away. Perrin they rescue Perrin and Egwene. They get away, and it's sunshine and rainbows from there. They don't get pursued, and they don't get pursued, and they're like, "Hey, let's go to Camelin, and let's go see if we can find. Let's hope Rand and Matt are there." So, because I think the first thing they ask is, "Where's Rand and Matt?" And they're like, "Oh, they're not with us." So, I don't know. What do you guys think of that little rescue?
I thought it was awesome. I think that this is a plan that's hatched by a man who is very intelligent about how he looks out at things and plans things. He's not a young guy, so he's not going to screw it up. He's he knows how many people he needs to do this with, and so that's why he's talking to Nynaeve and saying, "Are we willing to do it?" And you see her character a bit there too, like for an Emmonsfielder, absolutely. There's not a second thought with her, despite the fact that she has to work with Moraine essentially to achieve it. It's about the ends for her.
There's things I'm curious about. There's things I'm curious about based on, especially this, just chapter 37 from Nynaeve's point of view. And I know I'm gonna have to read to find this out, but I'm curious if if she ever warms up to Moraine. And I know I think I have a good reason to believe that this is setting up a romance between her and between Nynaeve and Lan, because she's always on his mind. Like he's living rent free in her head. So I'm assuming that this is setting something up right there.
So all I'm going to say is I don't think anything gets the ladies going more than a military op where you show off your sword skills, because to save her friends, because man, yeah, no, that you got some mileage out of that one. And I will say, read and find out, but there is a
I already drank.
Pips, how would you describe the reunion between Nynaeve and Moraine after the thing? It's one of the more heartfelt moments in the series.
You mean after this particular rescue?
No, after when Moraine has her her Gandalf the White reveal.
I say let's avoid talking about
read
those
and
types
find out that one.
Okay.
Excuse me. Oh, I felt something here. One of my nose.
Just one way to make cheap booze burn on the way down.
Yeah, the whole plan was fun to just watch it go down. And you just see freaking Lan acting like a man the whole damn time. He's just an absolute thing to behold when he's in the midst of a mission.
I'm assuming they didn't do his character justice in the
he's
the Prime series.
Well, you remember you remember you remember Perrin, right?
Yeah.
Here's his cousin Lan.
Oh, I disagree strongly. I much would have preferred a plank of wood over what we got.
Plank of wood.
No, that's true. Well, sorry, the plank of wood is what he got spanked with all the time, according to how the show treated him.
Yeah.
And, to give you some idea, I've been calling him Captain Nipples, so that gives you an indication of exactly how far this thing descended into madness.
Captain what?
Captain Nipples.
Oh, lots of what? Just a lot of shirtless scenes or something?
No,
just a whole lot of don't watch and find out.
That would be kind of cool. Like if we were to have like a jacked Lan that was like fighting people while shirtless. No, that would be cool, and we don't do that here.
Well, I can't wait to watch. I know it's going to be the highlight. It's going to be the highlight of my Nerdporeal life right there. So
you say you can't wait until you see it, and then you'll realize that you really could have waited for forever.
You should probably go to AA before you watch it, so that you're already on a program to not do what the White Cloaks have been doing for 6 months.
Excuse me. We've been doing, really good things. Okay. Not healthy things, good things.
Right.
Well, wine is good for the body.
What are you drinking, by the way, Nathan?
I'm drinking a Viking blood mead.
With real blood?
No. Made with a whole crap load of cherries and cranberries.
Okay.
And it's first time I've actually opened one up, and it's mighty tasty.
Nice.
Cheers.
Blood mead. Oh, cheers. At least I'm feeling something here. I'm in a better mood than I usually am.
Nice.
Because you read something good.
Yeah, you know what? What's funny is I'm because I have all that grimdark shit shed out of my system, and Game of Thrones really, season 8 was season 8 really killed that, but I'm just learning to really appreciate, just like, even though like it doesn't depend on, killing characters and killing, and doing just really crazy shit to really get a good story out of it. So yeah. So the issue was with me. The issue was when I read it, I was, poisoned by all that shit, so didn't really appreciate um, you know, didn't really appreciate it. A really good author and everything. So, yeah. So that's yeah. Pips, I know you're enjoying this right now. I'm eating all my words right now. So, but
everybody's got a path to walk.
Yeah, we gotta walk that path. But it's funny.
No person may walk in the shadow so long. Okay. Now I need to actually go and double check myself. Was it no man's may spend so long in the shadow that he may not return to the light? Damn it! How did I mess that up? All right, it's time to read.
So am I going to get? So am I going to be forgiven? I can't think of his first name. Jeff from Bornhold style. I'm going to be forgiven. Be brought back to the light.
There's a very specific character that Pips is referring to that is a phenomenal moment in the series.
I can't wait to find out. So I'll have to read to find out. All right, so
it's good. It's good. It's good how like minor characters in this series still get such great arcs. That's one of the things that I like about this. Like there's kind of a meme that like one of like the most popular characters in the series ends up being the guy who was like basically a mute, and he just carried Rand's he just did a thing, pretty much never said anything, but like you'll find out more about it. But the bottom line is like the dude basically has no dialogue, like is only in the book for a short amount of time, and it's like a meme that people like that character.
Okay.
And it's just because even the side characters, even really minor characters, get some really good kind of arcs.
I can't wait to read them. So, but I'm like I said, I'm really enjoying reading these chapters. Like it's just like I wanted to read more this morning, but like I just had to really prepare for this. So I had to recap all this crap not crap. I had to recap all this right here, all this story right here. So, but here we're getting to the real meat and potatoes here. So now that Perrin and Egwene are rescued, we're back in Camelin. And because we're back in Camelin, Rand wants to, Rand really wants to see this dragon. He wants to see Logain, Lady Balefire's favorite character of all time, the goat, her goat. I'll say that. So, but we do see Logain.
I'm going to say something that is going to get her to come to your comment section if she watches this video and just Balefire everything. I don't like Logain.
Okay. This is Pips's thing.
Pips's driving engagement with that one. Logain would have been miles and miles and miles better had he gotten had his arc not been subverted.
Yep.
I know you can't play the what if game. I know you can't do it.
I know. I'm there with you. I 100% agree with you, and that's the reason that I'm just like, he's.
Okay, but I feel like this is similar to the Taim issue that like, what if we just fixed it? Like, what if we just ignored the issue and just pretended it would be better? But I also get where you're coming from on this position.
I think that both of these conversations are things where, like, if somebody wanted to do an adaptation of the series and they wanted to change the story, these are the kind of things that they could have changed, that the fandom would have been like, yeah, like now there is you're accomplishing the thing of like established fans can watch this and like feel like they're experiencing the story for the first time again. They don't know exactly what's going to happen, things like that. What they gave us was not that. So.
Gadfly, that was all Sanderson. 100%. We have the conversation on the record between Sanderson and Harriet about how that happened.
Yep.
I forgot what I was. I'm sure it'll come back to me.
So I did kind of learn something. Well, Logan lasts for a while. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, Logan,
I mean,
Logan hangs out.
Logan is not an insignificant character, and he'll do some good stuff. He'll do some important stuff. I'm just saying that, like, in the grand scheme of things, Sanderson didn't finish Logan's character the way a lot of the fans think that Robert Jordan intended him to be finished. And like Alex said, there's some conversations that we have records of. We can understand why those changes were made.
Is it now? My question for that is, and I did read about, I know Robert Jordan knew he was going to pass away. Like, he was living on borrowed time at that point. I know he took a shit ton of notes. Like, is it possible he didn't cover everything? He didn't cover every. Like, I assumed that he covered every story arc. But is it possible he didn't?
He did not.
He wrote a lot.
Yeah, he wrote the ending specifically. And then he wrote the major arcs of the, I believe, Field 5 is basically the story arcs that he wrote. It wasn't like it was finished, it was just notes. So that left a lot of room to play around with. And I have nothing but respect for what Sanderson did with the way that he finished up the series. However, there were liberties taken in this specific spot that I think sort of does hurt the overall narrative.
Yep.
Okay.
Agreed.
Okay. That makes sense. Pips, cover yours. I did another visualization. I envisioned Logan as someone looking kind of like Errol Flynn. I kind of thought of Errol Flynn when the way they described him, just very, very based, very, tall, very tall dude, very based. And yeah. And this is just based on just like a single, he's just passing by, and that's the impression we have of him. So if I remember correctly, I think that's all we see of him in this book. I don't think we see him again after that.
We thought he was a Hispanic beta male. Oh wait, that was a show, my bad.
Okay. I
learned two specific things here, because my suggestion was going to be he looks like a tanner, cooler version of Sirius Black in Harry Potter. And then I discovered that in Harry Potter, Gary Oldman played Sirius Black. And I had no idea that was the case. That blows my mind. That is one role that maybe secures my belief that Gary Oldman may actually be the best actor ever. Like,
he is definitely up there.
Disagree. He's
you don't like him?
He's awesome.
You know where I first saw Gary Oldman, believe it or not? He was the bad guy in Air Force One. I think that was the first movie I became aware of his actor. I thought he was great. I thought he was a great villain. I thought he was a great villain in that. And I know he's been in a lot of other shit.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what, Nerdporeal, I changed my mind. Tan John Wick.
What?
Logan looks like a tan John Wick.
A tan John Wick. Okay, so a little bit. Okay, so Keanu. So kind of looks like Keanu a little bit.
Tall, long dark hair.
Yeah. Got the
Pip's my off base here.
You're saying he's a John Wick?
Tan John Wick. A tan John Wick.
I'm the wrong person to ask for.
That's
for
right.
fan casting.
That's right.
Yeah.
I could also see if you wanted to. Who's Tim Riggins in Friday Night Lights? Taylor Kitsch.
Oh, from I think he was in. What was he in? He was in John Carter. He was John Carter. John Carter, right? Yeah. I can see it. Yeah, I can see that. I could definitely see that. So, all right, but yeah, so that's so Rand gets a view of Logain. I don't know if this is the same view where he falls into the inner part of the city, and he ends up falling right into the princess and prince of the kingdom. Elaine and Gowan.
House grounds.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and of course, like, yeah, like they warm up to him right away. Like they know that he's just, I'm assuming Elaine is attracted to him. That's why she's more than willing to help him. She treats him of his wound. He literally lands on his head. So he's knocked out for a little bit. I think he has another dream, but I think the dream is very brief. He sees a bunch of people. I think he sees Balsamon, but I don't think Balsamon's actually there. I think this is all in his head and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And well, we get.
So which one are you saying that you don't think Balsamon is actually there?
When he falls and hits his head, and that's how chapter 40 begins. So that's I think he sees Moraine at a table. He sees Balsamon at a table. They vanish, and then he comes to. Like it's very, very quick.
Okay.
So I don't even. It might not even be a dream. It might just be him thinking or something, or being out of it and coming back into it.
Rand has a concussion.
Concussion, yeah, there you go. So of course, one thing is I listened chapter 40. I did not read. I actually listened to chapter 40. So I got to hear. I forget his name. The narrator,
Michael Kramer.
Michael Kramer. I liked how Michael Kramer depicted Elaine and Gowan. Like he used a completely different type of accent, like a very, how would I say it? Like a very,
they're
very
high British.
Very high. I don't know how to describe that. It was impossible. It was very different from like anything else you hear. It wasn't low dialect. It was like high British, like Alex said. So I thought that was great. I was actually pretty impressed, and that was something that kind of stood out. That really kind of stood out to me. So.
He does some great reading. He's a phenomenal audiobook reader.
Yeah,
the only complaint that I've ever heard people give for Michael Kramer is mainly that people who watch fantasy shows or listen to other fantasy audiobooks are taken aback and don't necessarily always like the fact that he reads a fantasy world in an American accent, to which I say, screw off all those people. Robert Jordan was an American author. He was influenced heavily by a lot of Southern, specifically American kind of things. So yeah, to hell with sort of fantasy British imperialism.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we always oh, this is based off of Northern Europe, or this is based off of the UK or of England, back in the day. Well, maybe Lord of the Rings, but Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
Two Rivers folk are based on he grew up on a farm, right? Like he grew up on a. I believe he grew up on a farm.
He grew up around Charleston, and the Two Rivers is actually based loosely on some aspects of Charleston.
Yeah, like the back.
South Carolina.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You can say that Wheel of Time was inspired by Tolkien, but there's also some strong Hemingway influences in there. So.
Oh really?
He's pretty wide. You got a wide breadth of influence in his stuff because I mean you get Alex. I think you've talked about a lot about his the lore aspect from England and Nordic cultures that came into it with King Arthur and stuff like that. How it plays into his stuff as well, and he's got a great base of influence to be able to be an author.
Yeah, it's a real shame because there is a whole lot of stuff to kind of explore and talk about there. And there was recently a book that was just released that was written on exactly this conversation. But it was written by, a sort of show supporting Twitter of Time kind of whack job. And if you want a review of that, our own General Matt Cawthon from the Band of the Red Hand Discord has been reading through it, and he's going to be on White Cloaks at some point here, probably December, January time period, and we'll do a review of that book because he's been sending some screenshots on the Discord of like things that are in that book, and they are ridiculous.
Wow, really?
I know we based fucking universe on the idea of gender complementarianism, but fuck it. That's not what it's about. Like,
No. Yeah. Oh man.
Well, we're getting close. We're getting close. We're only a few more chapters left. We'll get there. So here we have. All right. So he's in. We meet Gowan and Elaine, but then after that, like shortly after she treats him and everything, we meet Galad, and Galad's supposed to be this. I don't even know what he is. He's their half brother. I don't even know what his role is. What's his role in the court?
He's the crown prince. He's not the crown prince. He's a prince. But he's not the crown prince because he won't get the crown.
Well, I mean, there's no such thing really as a crown prince in Andor. You have first prince of the sword, I think, is what they
daughter
call,
heir,
and the first prince of the sword ends up being, what maybe would be called a crown prince. His job is, hey, my life before hers, essentially. Ends up kind of leading some of the armies, doing that sort of stuff. Galad is kind of the extra brother, right? So.
Yeah, they share the same father, but they have a different mother.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is why Galad ends up being the least retarded of them.
Honestly, you can't even really call him. He's not actually Prince Galad at all. He's Lord Galad. Is really who he would be, because he's the son of the previous first prince and daughter heir, right?
Yeah.
Which means that in the line of succession, he's basically nothing from the Trackand sort of family house line of succession. But he does happen to be the essentially stepson of the queen.
I like. I think here it's very. It's very interesting how he decided to go with a matriarchal line of succession as opposed to the typical eldest male, like in typical. I thought that was pretty interesting. So it's interesting how he, like, this Galad guy is related to them. And so right now only thing we know is that Galad is he's the one that will do the right thing, the quote unquote right thing, straight from the book. And Elaine, I think Elaine basically detests him. She cannot stand him whatsoever. So
yeah, because she's a brat.
Yeah, she does come off that way. So
she's a brat
now.
She's a brat, and he's responsible. And she doesn't like the fact that this guy who's not my brother is always doing the right thing and telling me what to do and stuff. She's a spoiled little brat, and he has to be her freaking nanny, and doesn't strangle her to death, which is honestly, I mean.
Purely miracle delivered by the pattern.
Yeah. It's her brattiness just it starts here and it just keeps.
It starts at a 7 for the first 3 books, and then hits a 17 on a scale out of 10 for the rest.
It dips down. It dips down later, like it.
Well, yeah, when
like in the Sanderson books.
I don't. It just her hotness only. It's just like it's a truism. The hotness of a chick can only go so far.
On the hot crazy scale, she is like a 9.5 hot, but she's a 10 crazy, which does put her in the danger zone. Like, shouldn't. You got to pass on those, right?
Danger
zone. You do, but you still want to go for a ride.
No.
Okay, and Nathan, here's the thing, though. You can go for a ride in that danger zone if she doesn't have an army. Okay, if she has an army, then you need to recalibrate this thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And the only thing I will say is that Tom Maryland is at least a bad enough dude that he was able to kind of hang out in that space. And it didn't end poorly for him. Oh shit!
Yeah.
So,
Well,
fuck.
well, but you're not really giving away
My fault.
too much, but
I didn't hear anything.
that's
I
because
think
Tom
actually
Maryland
that
is Tom Maryland.
I think that actually might be a decent misdirect. I think Nerdporeal right now is probably thinking the wrong thing. So I think, or is he? You'll have to read and find out.
See, the only problem with that is you just reminded me of the absolute worst thing about this series, and I think you know the one that I'm talking about.
The fact that they made it into an Amazon Prime TV show.
So there's only two things that have ever made me want to throw up about the Wheel of Time: the Amazon TV series and some behavior
and
by
the
Elaine.
other thing that shall not be named
that we don't even like talking about.
That Nate and I know what you mean.
Yes.
Oh man. Well, can't wait to find out. Can't wait to find out. So
yeah.
So of course, Galad gets Galad goes away, but then again he brings he right away they're like, oh, go through this little gate and you can leave that way, but then Rand gets apprehended. The guard come right away and they're led by Talonvor. And they like, and of course then Elaine is just like this in front of Talonvor and his men, and stands between him and Rand and everything, and they're like, sorry, your mom wants to talk, so you have no power here, bitch. Well, okay, not quite, didn't quite say it that way, but yeah, it gets to a point where like, oh, if you're gonna put him in prison, you're gonna have to put me in. You're gonna have to put us in prison too. And I think Gowan's like, really?
Yeah,
like,
Gowan.
Really?
Gowan is over there just like, oh shit.
Fuck. Yeah, like what do you say?
Gowan has one of a handful of bright moments.
Yeah, I accidentally saw his fate too. God damn it.
Gowan is probably doing his best scenes in the entire series right now, dealing with Elaine.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir Gawain the dumbass is.
Oh no. It does kind of come off that way. I'll just say that it does. He does come off that way. So, oh well, it's a shame. It's a shame.
Honestly, there are few and far between people who like Gowan, and generally those people deserve to be kicked.
To be kicked? What, kicked from Discord, or kicked like a donkey?
Both.
Nah, just like boot
or
to
like
the
a
head.
horse. Or a horse.
Yeah.
Okay, beat
Yeah,
to the head.
Galad is easily
Ain't that
the
a
most
kick in the
understandable. Galad is easily the most understandable and likable of the three.
That's very interesting, because that is not like, that's not how that scene played out. So I was expecting him to be a bad guy later. That's interesting.
You're saying of Elaine, Gowan, and Galad,
mm-hmm.
and you're saying Galad is the most likable. Okay. Sorry. When I thought you said Gowan was the most likable and understable, and I was like,
no, Galad.
All right, gloves are coming off.
If I said Gowan, my bad. I did mean Galad.
So here's the question.
Interesting. That's going to be something interesting to find out. I'm going to drink to that.
So who's better, Morghese or Galad?
Galad.
I agree.
I mean,
really?
I also agree.
The later stuff with Morghese, it was more annoying
not a fan.
than anything.
Yep, not a fan.
Same.
Okay, speaking of Morghese, he gets taken to her. Like they all go into her presence, and I think
everyone kisses themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, she chews out her daughter and her son. Like, you're supposed to be watching her. You're not supposed to be this stupid or something. I forget exactly how it goes. But then, like, what?
Gareth Bryn points out, holy fucking shit. We have an Aielman with a heron-marked sword wearing the white. Like,
That
Red.
was
We're
the
all
biggest.
going to die.
He's wearing the red, right? He's allegedly
got-
on Team Morgaze.
No, I thought he was on the
Yeah,
opposite team. I
No,
thought
he was
that's
wearing
why they-
red. He's wearing red.
No,
He
he
bought
is
he
on red.
bought the
red?
cloth that was cheaper, and it was cheaper because
Oh.
they're not selling as
I
much
got
red
both.
cloth as
It's
white
red.
cloth.
That's
That
right,
was
that's right.
that
So-
was Robert
so-
Jordan, the supply and demand sort of based capitalist, informing the reader that the whites are the more popular sort of party in the city at the time, and so the going rate for white cloth is more expensive than the red cloth.
Yep.
Little
But
little
they-
slip in there for all the communists who are reading this series. The creator was a capitalist.
Right. But don't they think that they think he's an assassin? They think he's
The,
wearing
well,
the
they-
red-
the views. of
Alida,
the,
I think, is the one who points out that anybody could buy a strip of red cloth. It doesn't mean anything.
the views of the individual do not necessarily represent the views of the entire panel. Just saying. No, I'm kidding.
Nah, I was going to say, Nerdporeal, I think you're even good with that one.
that Robert Jordan was a capitalist. Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, he said it in
Of
his
course he
book.
was.
And that communism sucks.
Hey, communism
I
has
grew
never
up-
been tried.
Yes, right.
You can't say it with a straight face. Sorry.
Yeah. So, excuse me. That was a funny. But just to kind of go forward with this. So yeah, this was that whole part where like they find out he has the sword. It just everybody's just like they're like the guards were like ready to like draw their swords, and they were like freaking like there was just so much tension in that scene. They're like, oh fuck, what's going on here? And then we get the Aes Sedai woman, Elida, or whatever you call her, and she starts reading the pattern and everything. And this I have to read this because I thought this was great. The Dark One stirs in Shale Ghul. The shadow lies across the pattern, and the future is balanced on the point of a pin. This one is dangerous. This I foretell and swear under the light that can say no clearer. From this day, Andor marches towards pain and division. The shadow has yet to darken to its blackest, and I cannot see if the light will come after. Where the world has wept one tear, it will weep thousands. This I foretell. This too, I forget what else happens. Pain and division come to the whole world, and this man stands at the heart of it. I obey the queen and speak it clearly. So.
Thanks, Elida.
Yeah, so I was just like, holy, yeah, like, okay. I was like, okay, this is this very important little quote right here. So apparently this is
You cleared up fuck all.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
So-
pretty
so-
standard, Elida.
Some outstanding foreshadowing there, though.
Yeah. And
She's a Democrat.
well, she's a red. She red Aja. You know, you think the other way, right? I guess not.
It's unrelated.
Yeah.
Totally. So I thought that was great. And they're like,
or in other words, during this turning of the wheel, that was before the parties switched, or after they switched. there was a switch. It totally happened. Super real.
Well, like I said, the views do not necessarily do not necessarily represent the panel. Just saying.
Given Elida's propensity for questioning the validity of democracy, do we?
Oh no!
Where does she stand on this particular issue?
Well,
Nerdporeal is going to
kill
get his stream canceled
people,
for
so-
election misinformation.
so you've got Stalin, and then you've got Elida down here.
Really? Okay. I can't wait to read and find out. I can't drink anymore because I'm all out. I'm all out of. There's no drop in here. Oh, there is a drop. Never mind. But yeah, but I think Morgaze just lets them go. She's like, I don't want to. They're like, I think. So I think the recommendation, Byrne or Bryn or how you say his name, Bryn.
Gareth Bryn. Yeah.
Gareth Bryn. He recommends that they just keep him there. They keep Rand imprisoned until like Logain is out, and of course, I believe they're sending Elaine out to the Aes Sedai, because I think that's what the daughter heir always does. They always go and they train with the Aes Sedai, and of course, the son, in this case, Gawain, would be trained as a warder. Now I forget, do warders train in Tar Valon as well with the Aes Sedai, or is that a totally different academy?
Nope, same school.
Yep,
same school. Okay,
school.
Yeah, okay. And so they let him go. So yeah, so like they let Rand go, and Rand is like now Elida is living rent free in his head, and he's like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. And that's basically chapter 40 right there. So so yeah, we're almost done.
Rand has good instincts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With the exception of the Elaine thing.
I was gonna say, I'm not really sure we can say Rand has good instincts. Rand has instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Rand knows when somebody's trying to kill him. Mostly.
Sometimes.
Not all the time. Fair enough.
I can't wait to see what his role is going to be in especially a couple books from now when he's declared a certain thing. I do know that much. So
well, yeah, because again, you can't Google the series without seeing the cover of The Dragon Reborn.
Exactly. So I'm really curious, I'm curious if the reason why I'm curious if the opening question that Jordan asked himself when he was when we started the series was, what would it be like if someone you knew, or someone, or maybe me, would just one day learn that they were the savior of humanity or something? Is that basic? I mean, I'm assuming that's basically where one of the earliest questions that kind of started the series and everything.
So if you read the audiobooks, there's an interview between someone who works for Tor Books, I don't remember her name, and Robert Jordan, and it's the same interview segment at the end of each one of the audiobooks. At least each one of the ones with Michael Kramer and Kate Reading. I don't know about the one which shall not be named. And it's basically that he's saying the inspiration for this series was, thinking about, hey, if I went to, my small town where I grew up, and, somebody, I'm sitting in a bar and somebody walks up to me and says, hey, you're going to be the savior of the world. I don't think that conversation would go the way that it goes in a lot of fantasy stories. It's in fact, I think that, they might, maybe quietly slip out the back to escape the weird, crazy guy, or they might try and sell him, some oceanfront property in Tucson. There's not going to be a lot of oh, well, I guess I'm
why
the chosen
Tucson?
one. Let's do
Why
this.
Tucson of all places?
I don't know. That's the expression, the way that I've heard it. Oceanfront property in Tucson. That I got to tell you.
Okay, all right.
It's like an endless beach.
Oh,
yep, exactly.
Oh,
oceanfront property in Nebraska.
Yeah, it works. It works for a lot of places. Tucson is just the one that I've heard.
It's the drink that's making me laugh. It's not the humor.
Ouch!
I'm feeling something.
Wow.
I'm feeling something right now.
Feeling saucy.
Yeah,
well, it happens when you drink a golf ball.
Okay, this looks like I might keep this. Maybe I'll keep this. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dude, I'll be taking that to the range and trying to see how far I can drive that thing.
But yeah, so then I think the next chapter here, they all get reunited. He's in the Queen's blessing, and all of a sudden Moraine and the rest of them show up, and everybody's it's a reunion. Everybody's happy. I'd be because the one thing that I really did I really liked that Jordan did was the once again the monologues and what they were thinking and how they were feeling. I think they both were. I mean, maybe Rand did not lose hope, but I think Matt completely did. They thought they were dead. The rest of them were dead. There's always that possibility and looming in their heads that everyone else could be dead and that they'd be completely alone and everything. So seeing them the way they react here, really, something I didn't pick up with on the first read. Yeah, I know I take responsibility, but I loved seeing that here. So it was to me, this was a big emotional payoff.
Yeah, for sure.
for these characters.
Yep.
And
Matt being influenced by the the dagger, I think, played into the pessimism that he had.
Yeah.
But it and interfered with his ability to really react with seeing everybody again.
Mhm.
So it really wasn't Matt reacting.
Well, he does react.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like get away from him, because we realized, that she realized, oh wait, so he can spread that his disease or with that dagger to someone else. Is that why she's like, Moraine's like, get away from him, he's tainted or something like that? Is that what it was?
The dagger. Do we see?
if
we see the
like,
dagger. We see the dagger in Eye of the World.
If Rand picks up the dagger, Rand's going to have massive issues, the same issues that Matt has. The thing that's keeping him safe is that the dagger causes paranoia and greed, so Matt doesn't want to give up the dagger. If the dagger would convince Matt to give Rand the dagger, Rand would also have the same issue.
So at this point in the story, the dagger is having the same effect on the characters as like the One Ring had on the Ring Bearer.
Okay.
But it has, in addition to being the One Ring, again, with the nods to kind of Tolkien and that series, it also has, like, it still is a dagger, as we said before, the sort of Crocodile Dundee moment, right? So it has its own other reasons to stay away from the guy with the dagger who's acting crazy and lashing out at people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the influence of the dagger, I think, at least as far as I was reading it, was more of something that if you were exposed to its effects for a long period of time, it would have influence. And Moraine's reaction is more of just like, get away, for all sorts of various reasons, but she recognizes the evil that's immediately emanating because she can sense that with her abilities with the power.
Yeah. It's also a one shot, one kill. Nick you die. So get away from the lunatic with the knife.
Get away, Loyal.
Yeah.
Trolloc. Oh, sorry, the mistaken identity. There was another moment in this chapter 41, that I really thought was pretty cool. Master Gil, being pretty based when those White Cloaks come in. They were like, "Hey, we're looking for these guys," and they're like, "Get the fuck out of here." They're like, "Get the fuck out of here. We're loyal to the Queen. We're red."
Come back with a warrant.
And then everybody gets up and starts drawing their swords. I was like, and they're like, "Oh." Like the leader's like, you want to do this, and the other White Cloaks are like, let's get the fuck out of here. I thought that was a great moment. I thought that was a funny moment right there.
Those dirty White Cloaks.
What a bunch of assholes.
Bunch of dicks. And I got two. I got two of them. Right, I have two of them on the stream right here. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, and speaking of Gil, though, I mean, Gil is just a fucking beast in terms of just how much of a stand-up man he is. Like, I've got this quote written here where when he's first leading Matt and Rand to their room, when they first get to Camelin, and he's just, well, can't say I wants trouble, but no bloody dark friend will make me turn my back on Tom's friend. And it's just like, fuck yes. These kids who have been on their own for how long now, and all they've wanted was just a true help, and they finally get it at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just this stand-up dude, and he continues to be a stand-up guy. Gil is
I
awesome.
like him. He's like probably the coolest of the innkeepers. Yeah, just pretty based, and he's just not going to take shit from anybody.
All get out.
Yeah. So yeah, that was so yeah, but those chapters. We got two more chapters. We're almost there. Pips, can you last another few minutes?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Appreciate it. So I think
person, I expect you're used to answering that, asking you that question, Pips, but.
Your camera's kind of freezing there. I don't know what it is. You're kind of going all 120.
Say my camera is freezing?
Yeah, you kind of froze right there just now. So I don't know. I'll just say, we're telling you your ass is that big. Yeah.
Hey, we got Mags in the chat.
Megs. I don't have any donuts. I do want to. I am all soaked. I am all soaked with booze. I need something to take all this in. So yeah, bourbon and whiskey. So all right. So we have two more chapters. I believe so at this point they're like, we can't escape. We can't leave really leave Camelin with we can't really leave Camelin the way we came in, because we have Trollocs, we have White Cloaks on the inside, and we have Trollocs and Fades on the outside. That's like the big deal. Like anywhere they I think Land says anywhere they go, they're going to be intercepted like right away. So just like in that one chapter where Matt is screaming something in Manetheren, they would be, tongue. Yeah. So something like that would probably happen again. So they can't really do that. So, so of course I believe they introduce Loyal to Moraine and to the rest of the party, and they talk about the Eye of the World quite a bit. I believe who mentions, so Balsamon mentions the Eye of the World. Does Loyal? So who else mentions the Eye of the World?
So we get it from the Tinkers.
The Tinkers.
We get it from
from that IL woman that dies in that story that the Tinkers told Perrin and Elias. Mm-hmm. The prophecy.
Yep, and then we get it from
prophecy.
And then we get it from Loyal, right?
Yeah,
and then we get it from the dream that each of them has.
Yeah. So if I remember correctly, the Eye of the World's basically it's just basically male Sidene, right? It's untainted male Sidene that is located, obviously. I mean, I've read this book before. It's all the way out in the Blight,
Yep.
It's all the way out in the Blight, and I know they take the ways to get there. So what they're trying to figure out is how to get out of there, and they're going to be taking the ways out. So I just see the ways as like it's just like a path with darkness all around. There's only one direction, that's forward, and then there's crossroads, I believe, or something, or maybe I'm.
I think it's more a labyrinth than like there's only one direction that's forward. Like it's it's definitely designed or described as a place you can easily get lost. Like you make one wrong turn and you'll be trapped there forever, especially if you don't have an Ogier to read the guidings.
Yeah, it's interesting that like it's like these I think these ways were made so the Aes Sedai made these ways for the Ogier so that they can get around without having to expose themselves, I guess.
Specifically the male Aes Sedai, yeah.
Yeah. And because it was done by the male Aes Sedai, like, when they created these things, there's like, there's this what they call this thing again? Machu or
Machin Shin.
Machin Shin. So I was going to say Machu Picchu, but that's a real place.
Dr. Machin Shin.
Machin Shin. It sounds like something like Dragon Ball. Machin Shin. Okay, so but it's basically this dark cloud thing that just eats people, consumes people, roughly. And so,
as far as we know,
that's the thing. That's the thing that as far as we know, that is what.
Yeah,
so
it's not a read and find out. It's just like that's.
So it's another example. So it's kind of like Mashadar. It's kind of the example of that cosmic type of entity that was kind of created without any real intention. It was just kind of there.
So Mashadar is, man's evil incarnate, right?
Yeah.
Machin Shin is, it's never really definitively explained. Like in fact, in world, no one really knows how it's created or what really it is, but it's strongly implied that it is a byproduct of the Dark One's taint, right? Okay. So it is unlike Mashadar, which is, sort of its own thing, and it is an aspect of the Dark One's taint. However, it obviously doesn't spare Shadow Spawn, so it's sort of doing its own thing.
Right. There's an
Yeah.
element that I always got with Makinshin and with Mashadar that if you've got a choice between the Dark One and those other two, you almost want to take your chances with the Dark One in some aspects.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So yeah, like Loyal declares, at least I like to say he declares all three of them, you know, Rand, Perrin, and Matt, they're all is it pronounced Taverin or Taverin? You have the apostrophe right up there, so is it Taverin?
So
Taverin.
The asterisk on any Wheel of Time pronunciations is that there's not necessarily a really strong agreement.
I mean, I know they have the glossary. I mean, I know they have the glossary in the back, and like, you know, that's how you know I learned, you know, how to pronounce. When I first read the book, I said Aes Sedai, not as opposed to Aes Sedai, and
yeah. But I would say the consensus on Taverin is that it's Taverin. But some of the other words in the series, my favorite being Wooski. Some people say Uzquai, but it's
really there's a Wooski.
It's Uski.
Uski.
Uski. It's Uski. And it's
the correct version is Uski.
It's made by the distillation of corn. Something it's called something else, but it's corn. Well, technically it's maize. And it is a dirty brown sort of colored liquid that will knock you on your ass a little bit. And all I can say is that Robert Jordan introduced both some good smoking tobacco and some good whiskey into his story, and it's all. He was a fan of bourbon.
So
he was a fan of that.
Toxic. So some toxic masculinity in this series. Interesting. Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Wee bit of that. Bit of that.
Hey, we've said it before on the White Cloaks, and you've probably said it. Other people have said it. Toxic masculinity makes great fucking stories.
I agree. No, I totally agree. But especially the disingenuous nature in which it's labeled toxic masculinity.
True.
So
true.
But yeah, I think we're practically they're so we get so there's points, and I'm sure there's a lot that we didn't cover, but yeah, we find out that like Moraine is a part of the Blue Aja, hence you know she wears the blue and everything. I think I like the way she reacted to when Rand met you know the Cord and met Elida. She got to like she's like Elida, oh, you know, like that. So
yeah.
I'm guessing the Reds and the Blues do not like each other a lot.
Not particularly.
Just like a particular party.
So,
I'll party. I won't say who.
Not a fan club.
Okay. Moraine also doesn't trust anyone. So
okay.
That's also just sort of a Moraine thing. And yeah.
Here's the other thing though. You also got to remember these are all women. Like this is
that's very toxic.
This is the Tri-Delts versus the Chi Omega sorority issue.
Well, the lambdas.
And they all live in the same sorority house.
Yes,
Excuse me.
Or no, it wasn't labeled. It was Omega Mu. That's what it was. The Omega Mu's.
They talk about this Isle War. I'm curious if they flesh this out later in the series.
They do. You know, you get bits and pieces of it. You got a fair amount of it based on Tam's delirious ramblings.
Okay, so that's the war that's the war that he was in.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's really badass. Like there's a thing that people will say about great fantasy that you know you're reading great fantasy when the previous era was way better. You're like, but like tell me that story. Like that's kind of how I feel about this one. Like, man, I really want to read the Tam Thor and the the Aiel War book. Like I definitely would have preferred that to Crossroads of Twilight. Like
I gotta show Mags what I got. I drank this. I drank this thing. It's Osa, and I drank this Bullet. So I drank two things. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. Feeling pretty good right now. So I'll say that. So yeah, I'm building that shit. We're gonna be ready. We're gonna be ready for that stream pretty soon, right, Pips?
Yeah, we are. You just channeling your inner Larry David there.
Sure.
You're saying
I love
pretty.
I know.
Good.
I did say that. I did say yeah. I mean, I'm big. I do like. I haven't watched the latest seasons, but I do like Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Just don't try and endorse FTX on your screen. Otherwise, you'll be channeling the bad side of Larry David.
right?
Oh, FTX.
Oh yeah, the crypto exchange that went absolutely tits up. Larry David did some TV commercials advertising them, and
I didn't know that.
he's getting sued along with all the celebrities.
Oh, that's right. That was the big Super Bowl commercial, wasn't it?
Yeah, Larry David.
Oh, I forgot.
I didn't know about that. I'll have to look into that. Oh,
yep.
That was actually a really good commercial.
Make sure you've got like 2.5 hours, man, because it is
at least
it is wild. I'm waiting for the sex tape to come out.
No thanks. All of the parties involved in that, absolutely no thanks.
Oh, I agree with you completely.
Probably like
However,
the original script of Wheel of Time.
I really want to see the SEC have to play like the sex tape in front of Congress as a piece of evidence demonstrating the conflict of interest between FTX and Alameda. Like,
yeah.
Well, your securities in exchange. What can I say? But yeah, so we have a new goal. Like our heroes now have a new goal. They have to once we learn, how important the Eye of the World is. They have to get to the Blight. They have to get to the Green Man and warn him about what's gonna happen and everything. What that is, I forgot exactly, but I guess that has something to do with the. I know what happens, but I'm assuming do they want the Eye of the World, or do they want to taint the Eye of the World? I forget.
So all we know is that the Dark One is doing something at the Eye of the World, right? Like he's trying to, blind the Eye of the World. We get a couple different sort of poetic descriptions of it.
Yeah.
And so all they know is that, hey, whatever the Dark One wants, we have to deny him, is like the general operating principle. So that's really all they know at this point, that they have to beat him or his forces to the Eye of the World.
Okay. All right. So that is the new thing. So they're like, they can't go, even if they wanted to, they could never make it there in time on foot, just traveling through the Blight and everything. It's just impossible. So that's why they decide to go with the ways. And Loyal Morane's like, how do we get there? Or how can we do this? And Loyal's like, fuck no, I'm not telling you, or I don't want to do this. This is madness.
And again with the sort of homage to Tolkien, right? So the ways serves a bit of the purpose of going through Moria, or in Return of the King, going through what is the name of like the mountain passes with the undead, right? Road. Yeah. So it serves kind of that purpose of the like, only with the need that is so great would you risk going through the ways.
Yeah. Okay.
And because if you look at a map and how long it took them to get to Camelin, it's the equivalent time basically for them to get from Camelin up to the way up to Faldar and the Gap.
But they have to do this because, and I just can't believe that he just casually throws this out. All of a sudden, there's a massive Trolloc army that has completely encircled Camelin. And I remember reading that line and going, "Okay, sure."
Did they? I kind of brought up that if they try to leave, there's Trollocs on the outside. Whereas you have the White Cloaks on the inside, and you have the Trollocs on the outside, and no matter where they go, they're going to be intercepted one way or the other.
Yeah, so I never read it as like a giant Trolloc army, but you definitely get the idea that the Fades and the Trollocs are kind of pacing them as they made it into Camelin, and hey,
Can you guys corroborate? Can you guys corroborate right here?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Can confirm.
Okay.
Not even arguing that one.
Yeah, he just I saw him in that Harriet McDougal video that I mentioned earlier. He just looked like a word that rhymes with toy or rhymes with coy or rhymes with well, the word boy might be in there too. So
Jack's asking how much longer we're going. I think we probably are.
We're almost done. We're chapter 43.
Yep.
We're almost done. Why you want this to end, Jack? Well,
I think he just showed up. So sorry, Jack, you missed most of it. Yeah, but you can go back and you can.
You got 2.5 hours. You got 2.5 hours of material, of hilarious material. So
we just finished leading up to them leaving the Queen's Blessing and going to the Ways. So if you haven't caught up on the previous ones, go check out Nerdporeal's 2 previous videos.
That's right. There are, yeah. Who else is in them? I think Nathan's in them, and some Pips dude. Yeah, Pips is in there too. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that asshole Pips guy.
Well, you're not just an asshole; you're a major asshole. Just
but it does make men better if you subscribe and stuff. But for a guy who's not on this stream today, but
that's true.
Yeah, I miss Steve. Steve's busy with kids and everything. It's life.
Yeah.
So, yep. It's all good.
We're common people.
So,
perfect.
So we have to. So now we have to get to. We have to get to the eye of the world. And so, we learned that the Ways are really, really dangerous. And I know we already kind of touched upon this. Mashin Shin and everything, and I think we learned about the steadings here. We learned where the steadings come from, where the Waygates kind of come from. We learned about that history we already talked about. And we pretty much talked about everything. I think we probably talked about everything in this chapter. The only thing is that we get Balsamon at the very end of this chapter. And Balsamon is just like Rand's up, and he sees like figures. He sees a wolf, he sees a figure with a dagger, and then he sees a figure with a sword, like a little toy figure. I don't know if it's a figure that's big enough for Dark Helmet to play with. That sword's really big. Well, that dagger looks very, very. I don't know. I can't do it. I can't do it proper. You could probably do it way better than me. That dagger's so big on you. So.
Your helmet.
It's just so big and round.
I didn't see you playing with your dolls again.
Yeah. I didn't see you playing with your dolls again. So we get that moment, and then Balsamon's just like, hey, I want you to kneel, just like, and I couldn't help when I heard that, when I read that, I was thinking, Joffrey in Game of Thrones screaming that to Tyrion in the purple wedding thing. I just couldn't help that. So, and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna be in a world or in a universe of hurt, or an eternal universe of hurt if you don't do this and everything." And of course, Rand's just like, I deny you. And then of course, I think something I forget, like for some reason, like it just gets out, the dream gets freaking out of control. He feels a stabbing pain in his hand. Yep. And then he wakes up, and then he finds this big splinter in his hand, and basically, he doesn't even care. He just rips it out of his hand, and I think then Moraine comes in, heals him, and it's just, hey, we got to get the fuck out of here. And that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at in my read. So only 10 more chapters left, and I'm assuming there's a lot of shit's going to happen in these next 10 chapters. Am I right?
Yeah. Things really do pop off. I will say, important to note that our main character does deny the devil 3 times but we promise you guys it's not a Christ metaphor. There was no religious influence that inspired this book at all.
So he's not a doubting. So he's not like a doubting. He's not a doubting
Thomas.
Not doubting Thomas.
No,
Also, the seven seals. Nothing from Revelations. No.
Didn't we talk about that? We did talk about that. Not in this stream though, but
we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Because I kind of brought up, because I had to bring up Zelda of all things. I was curious how much. I was curious. Maybe Nathan probably could answer this better. Like, I'm curious if there's any. There was a lot of influence from Wheel of Time onto the Zelda series. Some of the ideas that they used.
I haven't even thought about the comparison. To be honest,
because when I read about the seven seals, I couldn't help but think of the seven sages and the seven seals in the Link to the Past.
Mm-hmm. I think when you're coming along with that, though, I mean, because he was a pretty devout Christian, and I think when you get to the numerology stuff that's in Scripture, I think that comes across in Jordan's writing.
So Jordan was okay. So Jordan was Christian. Okay,
that explains why.
He's a self-described high church Episcopalian.
I was going to say I thought he was an Episcopal, which as an Episcopalian, I can say that back in the day it meant a little more than it does now, maybe.
Yes, especially
I don't even know what Episcopalians are known for. I mean,
Catholic.
They're known for meaning a little more back in the day than they still. The joke, if you want to use a Robin Williams joke about the best things about being Episcopalian, is all of the kneeling, none of the guilts. I think is one of the one of the jokes. He's got a shirt. There's a set that he did that they make T-shirts of, the 7 best things about being an Episcopal. And I think there's something about ordaining women, and you get to believe in dinosaurs and still be a Christian, and like
really,
there's some pretty funny jokes. But the all the kneeling, none of the guilt is probably the most succinct way to describe.
I got a lot of
classic line. It's great.
Yeah, I like Episcopalians was just one of those denominations I just never really came across. Well,
I mean, it's the Church of England, so it's the Anglican Church. It's just called the Episcopal Church in the U.S.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
And the Anglican Church is obviously it's the Catholic Church, but they made the king or the queen is the Pope because they had to.
Well, they had to break apart
to get a divorce.
His wife, and that's why they broke from the church. Because they were still reported to the church and everything.
Yep. Henry VIII.
I always thought the Presbyterian. I thought Anglican was based. I thought Presbyterian Church was based off of the Anglican Church. I guess I was wrong.
Methodist. The Methodist Church is based off of the Anglican Church, or the Episcopal Church. Had to do with the fact that
so the same thing. The Methodists and the Episcopal. So Methodists and Episcopalians are
very similar. They've separated over time, but originally,
of course, there's always a reason.
I don't want to give a whole religious thing on your stream.
I don't care. Religion is part of human civilization. So
my understanding, as not a Methodist, is that the Methodist Church was founded by a guy who wanted to spread the Anglican Church, but the Anglican Church was not producing enough bishops and rectors and people like that to go into the West and go and establish these churches. And they wouldn't give permission for layman kind of preaching, right? And so he's like, well, I'm going to go out and try and reform these heathens. And so the Methodist Church, when it was founded, had basically all of the stuff from the Anglican Church. It just wasn't officially sanctioned by the Anglican Church. And then over time, they sort of branched and separated a little bit. But that's probably the Cliff Notes version, I'm sure.
That's interesting. I didn't get into it because that's not the side, the portion of Christianity that I'm in. But yeah, Wesley was.
There's 2 sides to every Schwartz. They got the upside, you got the downside.
Excuse me. I wonder where the Orthodox would fall then. That's where I grew up.
Right with the Catholics.
Greek Orthodox,
Antiochian Orthodox, actually, but practically same thing. Kissing icons, chanting, same service, same liturgy, same Vespers every week. same words coming out of the priest's mouth, the same ceremony. It's exactly the same. I mean, there's very little. And then if you want you have the St. John Chrysostom service, which is shorter, or if you want to go into Lent, where everyone's, deemed to suffer. Yeah. And to suffer, you have to hear the St. Basil, which is like twice the length. I remember when I was a kid, I think I was 12. I really wanted to go home and play some Nintendo 64. And I was dying hearing the St. Basil liturgy. That was like 2.5 hours. And we had to stand. And then one thing about the Orthodox, you have to stand the whole freaking time. Like if you sit down, well, it's frowned upon to sit down.
2.5 hours of misery, and you're not allowed to sit down.
Unless you have the homily. Unless you have the homily, then you can sit down. If there's a homily, then you can sit down.
I said 2.5 hours of misery, and you're not allowed to sit down. Some people call that a Texas A&M football game.
I used to get sick quite a bit from kissing all those icons and eating off the same spoon, because they would spoon feed Holy Communion to you, and so no offense, I mean it was Orthodox thing. But I used to get sick quite a bit from that. But I mean, other than
that was hell during the scaredemic.
Yeah, I wasn't Orthodox then though, but yeah. So, but yeah, okay. That was just my little that's a little bit of my history. That was a little bit about my history right there. So yeah. Got to experience quite a bit of Christianity in different
we've
forms.
got quite the spectrum, because I would be probably considered a Calvinist. So we definitely were hitting all lines there.
And we got Mags in the chat, who's a Catholic, and Jack R seems like he's from his comments, I might think maybe also Catholic. We'll see if I'm right.
I think I would wager that you're correct based on on this right here. I mean, how often do you hear the word heretic, from any other denomination, so to speak? So, all right, but yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, we're all caught up, and we have 10 chapters left and one more stream, which is going to be in 2 weeks from now. So I was originally going to do it next week, but got other plans. Don't we have other plans? Pips. Aren't we doing a movie next Sunday?
We're doing the Christmas movie.
I'm on your side, you assholes. Die Hard. And I'll say this.
Please tell me that you guys have read the Harvard study.
No.
The Harvard Statistical Department examined whether or not Die Hard was a Christmas movie based on, I believe it was 14 different statistical categories.
If anyone ever wanted proof that fancy university degrees don't confer anything.
Well, this was the same professor that came up with the box score for the Space Jam game. So,
oh my goodness!
If you ever wanted
that was seriously done at a university.
That was seriously done at a university. Bugs Bunny had, I think it was 9 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds.
I have to say,
average.
As long as these are just like little side project hobbies and stuff like that people do, I kind of like that. That's, I mean, it's similar to some of the idiot sort of inane detail threads that people like the four of us might go into in our free time. That's fine. If it's like, taxpayer funded research.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was taxpayer funded.
Hey, Mags dropping a sweet little chat there.
Well, thank you, Mags, for $5. Member of the Nerdporeal Continuum.
I think she was actually purchasing a donut, if I can decipher the emoji combination there.
What emoji combination? There's just the donut's by her name. The donut's generally by her name.
It looks nice though, like she bought a donut for the chat. That's how I'm choosing to interpret that.
Okay. All right. Okay, gentlemen. Have a good night. Have a great stream. Well, thank you, Mags, for the $5. And she says, "Gotta get going. Have a great Sunday night, and see y'all around." Same here. Have a safe week. Have a safe week, and as RoboCop says, stay out of trouble. So, but yeah,
I thought he said dead or alive. You're coming with me.
Oh, yeah, sure, that too. Well, I'd buy that. I'd buy that for $1. I'll say that. So, but yeah, so yeah, Die Hard. Yeah, I'm kicking off the Nerdporeal Christmas chat. I don't know what I'm going to call it yet. I had a video series last year that I made. I called it Nerdporeal Christmas Carols. I'll have to come up with something. I'll have to come up with an intro. This is gonna be a lot of work, Phipps. I have to come up with an intro. We have to write this. I'm gonna have to figure all this shit out. So yeah, that's gonna be next Sunday. So gentlemen, what are you guys planning to do? Pips, Alex, what's going on with the White Cloaks? Are you guys gonna make me some juicy lore videos?
Alex. Alex told me like last week that he was going to make a video and then it was going to come out like the next day.
So actually, no, I lost my laptop over Thanksgiving. So
my goodness.
No. What the hell?
No, I had to drive 3.5 hours today to get my laptop. So I almost missed the stream, and thank God for my mom who was nice enough to meet me halfway.
Thank you, Mrs. Green.
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Green. You're wonderful. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get a professor from the University of South Dakota who posted a blog entry defending the show to come on and explain some of his dog shit opinions.
I'm sure calling them dog shit opinions, I'm sure it's gonna help encourage him to come.
Like equivalent to a certain Tolkien professor. Is he self-described?
Well, no. See, Doofus is like a King Arthur English professor, and his brilliant takes were basically something along the lines of, it's good that the adaptation is super different because things are better when different people tell the story. So it's good because we get two different opinions on how this should go.
Okay. So kids watching this replay, if your college professor uses the word super to describe anything in your curriculum, fucking leave that college.
I like that Nate is like, I'm talking to kids now, and then immediately F-bomb. Yeah. All I want to say is I'm going to steal Alex's line, which is that it sounds like somebody needs to tell this dude, don't do crack. Crack's bad.
Crack is bad.
Or now, and I wish I had that Michael Jordan thing. Get some help.
Seek help.
With the Chappelle Show, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
True. I'm planning on covering some of Robert Jordan's blog posts, going back through and just doing probably some shorts where I just kind of pick some of the ones that like are not specific about like updates for book publications. He had a lot of those over the years, right? But he has some other ones. I read a little piece of one for Nerdporeal the other day, which actually came from Alex posting an excerpt of it. I was like, you know what? It's been a long time since I read any of the RJ blogs. Went back through, found some really cool stuff in there, and I think that'll be fun to kind of drop that for people who haven't encountered those.
What you said was pretty ridiculous. Like I was like, what? I was like, really? I was like, holy shit! And you're like, yeah. You're like, yeah. Came right from the man's mouth. So
right from the horse's mouth.
The horse's mouth.
The horse transcribed it.
Yes.
There you go.
Nay.
What about you, Nathan? What's going on with you?
Right now, not a whole lot. I just finished my reread a few weeks ago with the Eye of the World. So that's been a project I've been working on for 6 months, trying to do an exercise of outlining how I would do a season 1. And so I've just as a personal thing for me. So I was got that this outline put together. So I'm going to put that into a series of videos to say,
show us the tabs on your book. Do you have your book?
Oh, I took all of them out, but it was
what?
Yeah. Well, because I had trouble tracking where I was fall getting finished with all my notes. So I'm like, this is just impossible. So I had to take them all out as I was completing them.
Okay.
But it was, so I mean, if you take, like, I got the Great Hunt book right here, which is a lot thinner, but
True.
it was just chock full of tabs. So, my outline for this series has almost 13,000 words in it, just on an outline. So it's going to be, I think I have it right now as 18 parts in the series. So it's going to take me a while to produce and put out there. But I just want to.
2,300 lines of dialogue is about standard for an episode, like a 55-minute episode. So if you have 2,300 by 8, that's what, 18,400? So
Yeah, well, and I'm just doing an outline of an episode. I'm not really just kind of going line by line. I'm just saying, hey, here's like an overall outline, and here's major events that are going to happen in each episode. And this is how you could produce it. Now, how you would go into that and develop a script, from there, I got no clue because I don't write. But
okay,
it's been a fun exercise because it's just like, hey, you could include, I could see you including this section here in an episode, and it would be, instead of 8 episodes, it would be 16. And you could do this, and you could do it in an animation form, which would be actually more conducive to the type of world that Robert Jordan was presenting anyway. And a lot of like anime style stuff, they do internal monologues in their shows. And as we know, Eye of the World has a lot of internal monologuing going on. And so you could get parents' perspective a lot better that way.
Yep.
That's kind of like the premise I'm going forward with it, just to kind of just present it and just see what people think. And if they, if they think I'm out of my mind, great. If they don't, great. It'll be, either way, it's going to be better than the fucking TV show. So
freaking another stupid.
I feel
bot,
yeah,
seriously?
Nathan. I know it. I know Lady B and myself and even Pips have talked about, if the White Cloaks were to do a script of this season, what would it look like? So I think we need to get you involved in this at some point.
Oh, I could go through this again and do it. I would.
What I would really love to do as like a long-term project for some of us that are kind of in this stuff. So you, Prophet, a couple other people who are involved, kind of in the content creation Wheel of Time sphere. What I would love it if we could come up with an actual like season 1 kind of Eye of the World script and do like a table read where we get different people to basically take, hey, I'm this character, and we would do a table read of our script. But that's, I mean, that's a huge undertaking,
I'd love
it
to.
would be fun
I'd
as
love
hell,
to participate.
It would be a lot of fun. I think that it would be pretty interesting, and we get a lot of good creative people in there. The issue is, we really need someone to kind of take some leadership on it and like get some stuff going. And too many of us have jobs and lives and all sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
But as soon as I quit my job and my wife divorces me for YouTube channel, spending too much time online, I'll have plenty of time to make this my goal in life.
That would be.
I don't know if
fun
I don't know if I was laughing or I was crying. I don't know which one it was.
But it's just like the thing that we did with Salty with the War of the Worlds stuff.
Yeah, that was
amazing. It was just an absolute really blast to just do that and participate in that. And so doing something like a table read, even if it has post-production stuff that you got to do, that's perfectly fine. But it would just be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, the real challenge would just be getting the script. The real challenge would be, I mean, as you're seeing, trying to go through and talk through how you would do it. As we learned through the failings of the Wheel of Prime show, writing as a collaborative effort, you get kind of too many cooks or too many chiefs or whatever analogy you want to use.
Hey, chefs in the kitchen,
and things start going off the rails. So to the extent that professor was saying, oh, it's good to get multiple people's perspectives, like, Maybe academically it's interesting, but
The best shit
it
is-
leads to really terrible stories.
Yeah, the best shit is singular vision.
Yeah.
Well, and like if we
so
go with
that's-
Lord of the Rings with Peter Jackson, and he had Philippa Boyens and Fran
Walsh,
drop
his
her
wife.
Fran Walsh, thank you.
Yep.
It was the three of them doing the script. But at the same time, while it was the three of them doing the script, it was Peter Jackson at the helm of all of that too. I mean, you do have to have the one chief, you have to have the other two being major contributors, but you do have to have a defined definition thing, and that's and that's kind of like my outline. It's like, this is just my kind of free flowing thoughts with it. And because I've never done an exercise like this before, but I know just on a basic outline, I could do a shitload better than what was put on screen.
For sure.
Right.
So at least that's what I think anyway. And I'm going to try and put it together and put it out there. So, but it's going to be a minute or two before that gets out there.
Well, you can console yourself by saying high confidence is success, because if nothing else, extremely low bar. So
so long as you don't have a show, you're gonna get over that bar.
Oh man,
I'll say this.
Right.
I'll say this. I feel for you guys. The fact that the one adaptation that comes out, and it's this. I honestly hope that, like, I know we talked about this before, but honestly, I hope to see an anime or an animated, an animated adaptation that's worthy of what Robert Jordan wrote.
Oh, it'd be fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
and I appreciate that, man. But also, I got to tell you, you have had it worse than anybody, my guy.
There is one.
How
right
many
there, the graphic novel. There is one.
Yeah, it is really good. It is really good, isn't it, Pips?
So there. I noticed that they're doing a one for Eye of the World, or did they already finish?
So the Eye of the World one was already finished a long time ago. It's freaking borderline impossible to find copies. So the New Spring one, one book, you can get it for about $20 online. The Eye of the World is, I think, 6 parts, maybe 5, but I think 6 parts, and it's like $50 per copy. So you're looking at about $300 to.
And that's the
buy the set.
And that's the Chuck Dixon one that we're talking about. Okay. Is there going to be is there a great hunt one or no?
No,
Nope.
They never continued the series past the Eye of the World. Partly because
I don't think Chuck Dixon couldn't have survived it.
Yeah, I think Chuck Dixon was partly he's gone on record saying it was the worst project that he ever did, because Robert Jordan was so ridiculously detailed with his correction notes. Like, in fact, this right here, the New Spring copy, includes his letters back and forth with Chuck Dixon towards the end here, and just flipping to a copy here. All right, so notes over here. All right. On page 12, Swan seems to have the Great Serpent ring on her left hand in panel 2, but not in panel 4. Like that level of stuff.
Damn.
Here's another one. So page 1 looks terrific, while Soroku is properly shown with 2 swords on his back there. On page 2, he is shown with only 1 sword on his back. Layouts is looking good. Just some visual description stuff. He goes on a lot about dresses, and
yes,
that's a thing. He's like, hey, this person, yeah, I mean, just absolute little stuff. So this character, so the banker looks too tall, as if he would be taller than Moraine if she stood. Remember, she is markedly shorter than Moraine. Oh wow! I mean,
right.
So being a real asshole to work with, but hey, it's his vision, right?
Yeah.
And it's ultimately it's his story, and obviously he cared a lot about it. I'm disappointed that Tor never found somebody else to finish the rest of the series. In my mind, they have two novels that are done. So like a lot of the artistic style elements have been worked out, and it's one of those things where like they could get somebody on to carry that style going forward as best they could, using the emails and notes that he did provide, and try and do a really good faith effort. And in my mind, for Tor, that's like just pick the money up off the ground. You know what I mean? Like if you have even just reprint the Eye of the World graphic novels, if they're selling for $50 a copy on the secondary market, like that just tells you that Tor Books is just leaving money on the table. The thing is already made. Just hit print, like reprint the series that you already own the rights to. And I just can't understand why.
I've got the electronic copy. I would
I do
love
as well.
a physical copy.
And the electronic copy doesn't even go the whole way for whatever reason. If you go on Amazon or like other places to buy like the Kindle editions, you can't get the electronic copy of all five or six of the parts. So you have to.
So the copies that I have, it's actually the comic book edition releases of them. So mine's like 30 some odd parts to it.
And that's one that's like floating around online that you can go and find.
And Nathan, you have my email address, right? Just a question.
I actually do not.
Okay, that's fine. We can talk. We can talk after.
I'll give them to you real quick after this. There, Alex. They're actually in the White Cloak share drive already.
Oh, they are. I did not know that. See, people, we have the reference material on hand.
There you go.
No, I did not know we had the reference material.
You'll have to edit this part out after this goes live, right? Just cut this live.
I will say Chuck Dixon stuff, though, his work in it was unbelievably good. It's just like the work that he did with the Hobbit adaptation for the comic books. He's just
again, flip to a random page.
Really good. Hell yes.
That's Trollocs.
Okay.
That's Trollocs.
That's what Jordan envisioned Trollocs to be.
Yep.
Nice.
Dragon Mount and Tarvalon.
How come neither one looks like a penis?
Because Tarvalon looks like a vagina.
Let's see. Oh, here you go. This is Lan and this is Lan and Bukama.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something else.
See,
dang,
like, dude looks like a real badass, right?
Right, yeah. Looks like he might kill a motherfucker.
I forget why do they wear those? Why do the warders wear those things around
Brady, you have to choke a bitch.
That's just Lan, the Hadori. It's a Malkieri thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, that so like Chuck Dixon did some stuff. Like he just did this thing called Hunter Ninja Bear.
Yep.
And I got that, and that is just some phenomenal art. It is awesome stuff. And it's that same type of stuff that's being presented in what Pips just showed. It's just great storytelling.
Yeah, you should absolutely go check out Chuck Dixon's stuff. He's seems like a cool dude. Even if he and Robert Jordan, kind of jostled elbows a little bit.
Well, and so like you say that, Pips, and at the same time, I don't think there's any argument though that he at least respected Robert in terms of what he wanted with his vision, because like he did the same thing with The Hobbit, where they found a copy of The Hobbit that wasn't the final edition of it in the Library of Congress, and his editor said, "Hey, do you want to do this?" And he said, "Absolutely, I'll do that." And then they went to the Tolkien estate and said, "Hey, we have this copy, but we want to do the actual final copy of it. But if you don't approve it, we'll just do this one." So Tolkien estate said, "Sure, go ahead and do it." And when you go through this edition, he said that like he did all the art and everything, but every bit of wording in there is from The Hobbit.
Is this a question?
Yeah.
Does this version have the ring in it? Because I know the earlier versions of The Hobbit did not have the one ring. because that was changed. That was edited for the sake of Lord of the Rings.
It has the ring in it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, but the fact that he was so concerned about making sure that the source material was kept to, and perhaps that was like his learning experience with working with Robert Jordan. I don't know, but it's Dixon's a fucking Chad.
Just one more thing for those of you guys who want to see some Trollocs.
Man, Trollocs looked awesome.
Yeah,
It's so cool.
And they're supposed to be all 8 feet tall, roughly.
Yeah,
but they're very clumsy and clunky, and hence you put a skilled swordsman, they'll just it's like I usually think of Aragorn versus that one Uruk-hai. Like Aragorn's just a better swordsman. That's why he won at the end of the Fellowship of the Ring. So
yeah, I don't think that they're necessarily supposed to be clumsy. They just can so easily rely on brute strength that's just what they do.
Yeah.
So like, that's going to be their normal sort of method of attack.
There isn't the Trolloc Sword Academy is the issue they run into.
kind of like the orc, kind of like the famous Orc Academy. There you go.
Yeah, same school.
Want to say
we have really derailed your stream here, man.
I wanted to say hello to Slasher Fred, who asks, have we seen the Lord of the Rings animated trilogy? Well, there wasn't an animated trilogy. There was the Rankin and Bass Hobbit, there was the Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings, and then there was the Rankin and Bass Return of the King. So if that's what you're saying, yeah, I've seen all three of them. I actually saw those. I think I saw those like right around the time I read the Lord of the Rings, and then shortly before the movie, the Peter Jackson stuff came out. So I actually saw those first. So rented them on VHS. So, but yeah. So for me, projects I'm working on. Well, I've been really lazy, but I did make a Better Call Saul video. So Pips, you cannot watch it. You cannot even watch the montage because there's heavy spoilers and everything. And you and I got to talk Better Call Saul. You watched season 1 already, so I feel I love that show. I could talk. I love talking about that show. I mean, me and Steve were talking about it for hours. After every episode of this last season. So I could thank Salty now artist formerly known as Salty Texas C for introducing me to Steve and everything, and just getting that relationship up off the ground and everything. And that's how I met you guys. That's how I met the White Cloaks through Prophet, and I think even you, Nathan. I think I met you through both Prophet and Corey.
Salty.
So yeah. So I mean, it's just wonder like who you meet through people and everything, and just the relationships you form. That's one thing I love about being a Nerdporeal friend. I'll call myself a Nerdporeal friend. So. But yeah, so I plan on doing a review of Eye of the World, and I was hoping, if you guys wanted to contribute in some way, just say talk about the series, like what the book means to you, and that's it. Nothing like not a review, but that's kind of what I was going for. So, because I had a buddy, one of my good friends worked on did contribute to my Ocarina of Time video. It's probably my favorite part of the video. So I just love to, work with people, and if you guys are interested, I'd love to, collaborate. So,
Sure.
But yeah, so I do want to do a book review, probably around the time we do the part 4. See, unlike Disney, I'm willing to not make this a trilogy and add an additional, movie, to tell the whole fucking story, and not just put everything in a single stream. So, but yeah, so that, and of course I got my Metroid stream, and I got a whole list of other things I want to do that I've been so fucking lazy with, especially the last couple months. I've been burned with videos and everything. So it's just, yeah. So I gotta do better. Senator. Sorry. But yeah, once again, it's been over 3 hours. I appreciate all three of you for coming on with me and taking this time out of your Sunday evenings to talk about the Eye of the World with me. I thought this was a real blast. I thought we had a great time. Not as crazy as the last couple streams, but this was really. I thought we actually talked about stuff. We actually talked about the Eye of the World, the chapters and everything. So that's all on me.
Peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah, you came prepared with this with a little bit of an outline, and I wasn't drunk off my ass this time. So it was a pincer. It was a sort of double envelopment of content creation.
Yeah.
I mean, I did finish the bottle.
Yeah. So
there's a joke to be made there, but we're about to end the stream, so I'm gonna let it pass.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So we already went into everything we're doing. So yeah, just don't forget to subscribe to all these guys. Their links are in the description. And also subscribe. I know Pips, you have your own Twitter account. Alex, you're the white, you are the White Cloak. So yeah, follow them on Twitter, and just follow me too if you want to. I mean, you don't have to, but you could, and consider hitting that join button. Consider being a Continuum member, because like Steve said in the beginning, it will make your life. Okay, I'm not going that far. You'll be happier. I'll just say that, like, if you become a Continuum member, I'm sure you'll be happier in some aspect of your life. So, but
when I became a member of the Nerdporeal Continuum, I grew 3 sizes. I mean, my heart grew 3 sizes.
Oh, okay.
That's what grew?
Oh, so you got an enlarged heart now. Oh shit. Okay, that's nothing we don't want. So
I thought you joined the YouTube channel and not get vaccinated.
End the stream.
All right, but everybody, take care. Have a good night. Stay Nerdporeal, and follow all these good gentlemen.
Yeah.